I'm actually crying right now. This is how much I'm ready for everything to happen. I'm actually in tears. I'm hoping this is gonna work. I may have done this wrong. Hang on. Oh no, it's perfect. We're perfect, you guys. We love to see it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the round table discussion, my first chatting time. I'm very excited. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, Crit, thank you for the raid. Thank you so much. I forgot to text you. Don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. But hello, everybody. Hello, Kiki. Hello, Thrift. Hello, Will. Hello, BD. Hello, Smeezes. Hello, Persephone. Full Speed Toxicity. Mrs. Tryhard. Willpow3red. Jazzy. If I missed somebody, I think I got everybody. If I oh, and Susa? I think, maybe. Hello, welcome, Thrift. Hello, gorgeous. I hope you're doing wonderful. Astera, hello, Mel. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Hello, Unseen Entity, Wonder, Riot, Crit, Lunchbox, hello, 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 Zeno, hello, Malclusion, hello, Gondrith. Whew, I'm out of breath, y'all, and trust me, I can hold my breath a real long time, but I am so excited. I am so exciting. So this is what we're gonna do today. You guys already know we've been like tweeting it out a little bit. We've had a lot of excitement about this. We're gonna do a roundtable discussion. I've got a bunch of questions we're gonna ask. I'm gonna introduce everybody, and we're literally just gonna dive right in, we're going boom, right in, and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so before we go see everybody, actually, you know what? No, we're just gonna go in. I was gonna let's do this casually. We're not. We're gonna do this a little bit wonky. I bet you can. Giggity, giggity. Yes, call me Susan. Perfect. Thank you, Susan. I love to see it. I will admit that when we do this roundtable, I will not be as talkative in my chat. My lovely mods will be kicking around, talks amongst yourselves. We will be having, there's a bunch of questions and a bunch of content I want to get out. So my chat, I will not be as engaged this time. My first time, I know. But there will be time after, and it's literally going to be amazing. Literally amazing. And I'm excited about it. Okay, so we're going to switch screens. You're going to love it. I've got to connect my camera and my mic to the other screen. So it might take me a couple seconds, and then we're going to dive in. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to introduce everybody. And they're already laughing at me, and I can see this, and I think that it's going to be great. Okay, I see BD, I literally said hi. Okay, we're jumping. Zeno, thank you for those gifted subs. Okay, we're trying this. We're switching. Wait. We're going to get rid of my webcam first, because I'm new. That's first. Because apparently, I can't have 12 things on at once. Bam. So that's gone. We're going to pop up this one. Look at all these beautiful people here. You guys see them? Look at them all. They're all so beautiful. Literally. Wait. Oh, it's me. I'm in the middle. That's what I like to see. Listen. Ooh, it's a party if I'm always in the middle.
Oh, I can't hear you.
And now we can see everybody. This is so exciting. Oh, and I just made Will's ears hurt a lot because he just went way back. Don't worry. I'm used to making him throw back.
That was loud.
Sorry, everybody. I'm very excited. All right, so let's have this begin. So first and foremost, I want to start off. I have picked 4 amazing WoW content creators, and if you go !guest, you'll have all of their Twitch information available to you guys. Go drop them a follow. There's also a timer that's going to be happening, so you make sure you guys are following them because they all do amazing content. So I picked 4 of my friends and 4 amazing WoW content creators that all do something different when they're streaming WoW. Something I would like to try to accomplish in my career of being a content creator is I would like to bridge the gaps of some of the different communities within WoW. So I've picked these wonderful people for what they do best. And if I've missed something, feel free when I'm done, one of you 4 or any of you 4, you guys can correct when you guys get to talk about yourselves for a minute. But starting with MissiledineOnline, aka Corey. Corey is part of my stream team, and he is one of the main reasons I started streaming World of Warcraft again. When I met Corey, I was a DBD streamer, and I streamed Overwatch. And I was in Corey's streams all the time, and I missed WoW. Corey made me, he started the fire again for me to really love this game that I love so much, and it was a lot for me to have to make that decision to change my focus, and Corey's a huge reason for that. So of course I wanted to bring Corey in. Corey is also a partnered WoW streamer, also does a lot of variety, which is really fun and exciting, and I love to see that when people can branch out of just one game, but Corey brings everything when he does a stream. You will not be disappointed. He's also the guild leader of Tantalus and For the Alliance. When he plays WoW, he focuses on normal and heroic raiding, running keys, playing alts, and of course, he knows the lore, and we love to see it. Going over to my other side, we have the gorgeous Persephone. Persephone is known for her wonderful World of Warcraft streams for many things, from making all that money, giving away Brutosaurs because she makes that much money. She's known for multi-boxing and dominating the Loot Appraiser challenge runs. Like, can I just say, she wins all of them. Like, literally all of them. And I don't know how she does it, but she does it. And she's Horde. But you know what? I don't judge her for her choice of being Horde because it suits her, because she's very feisty. Like, there's definitely a lot of feistiness in there, and she's perfect. So any gold making you want to ask her, she's got you. Moving on down towards Willpow3red, otherwise known as my World of Warcraft. Wow, I can't talk. World of Warcraft husband. He's for the Horde. I'm for the Alliance, but it's basically like a Romeo and Juliet love affair. Honestly, like literally, I'm perfect and he batshit crazy, but that's besides the point. Will's a lot of transmog focus. When he does his World of Warcraft and Dead by Daylight streams, his WoW streams focus on leveling, running keys, doing old content for transmog purposes. He's such a chill vibe. You can just kind of sit there, have a little beverage, and he's going to tell you everything you need. He's also very in-depth with the lore as well. So like, he kind of touches a lot of different markets, which I really like, because you can go in there and you can talk about so many different things, and he's got some information. He also PvPs. And last but not least, the gorgeous HaughtyChicken. HaughtyChicken and I are so fortunate. I actually met Haughty by a complete fluke in another person's stream once upon a time. And literally, as soon as I went to her stream, like I knew there was a connection and a friendship there. Haughty streams, how can I put a Haughty? Basically, if you've never seen a Haughty stream, you're missing out on what Twitch can offer you. Like, she's that good. Haughty is a partnered World of Warcraft streamer focusing on lore. She also does and goes back and she's doing the Horde quest lines to get the lore of like different undead and Torm, which is really fascinating since you like lore so much. She loves warlocks. She's got like 12, 13, something like that.
16.
16 warlocks. So she got a lot of warlocks. I've actually made a warlock named Haughty Cell because we're honoring the HaughtyChicken in that regard. And Haughty plays both Horde and Alliance. She's a lot casual and chill, but that's part of what I think WoW needs, is these communities need to work together to keep making a fantastic game. And I think sometimes people like to fight over some trivia about the content in the game, not about the lore, but like what you're doing in the game. People get called really bad things all the time, whether from a hardcore standpoint or if you're more of our casual cuties, and that needs to stop. And myself, hello, how are you doing? I'm Celheals. I'm the guild leader of Tilted Halos, currently 11 of 12 Mythic over a 14-week period. I also run high-level Mythic keys. I'm more of the like, the end game content. I also do a little bit of minor gold making. Don't yell at me, Persephone. I know she's already given me the look, but it's fine. I do some things. And I love to do casual leveling. I like to teach people. I also do like, I've taught people how to run keys. I'm going to be teaching people how to raid in Shadowlands. So there's going to be more of an educational part, but I think it's really exciting to bring all of us, the Master of Minds, together to really move forward as a community and as for WoW. So that's our panel, everybody. Hello, welcome on in, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. You're beautiful.
Is that it? Can I go?
Good intro. I liked it. That was so nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So what we're gonna do is I have made a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna read a question out, and then I'm gonna say somebody's name, and they're gonna start, and they're gonna answer that question, and we're gonna go around to everybody to get everyone's like perception of the question and their ideas and like what makes the question personal to them. So we're going to talk about Shadowlands, we're going to talk about BFA, and we're going to talk about who all of these wonderful people are as streamers. And I think that's a really big deal too, because everybody brings something to the table. And I love it that there's so many of us that have a lot of the same people in our communities. Like, that's a really big deal. And I think that's a really good thing for growth and for like a safety reason, because you don't have to go to a stream and have people attack you for who you are, right? Like, I think that's a really big deal. So I want to keep moving that forward. So we're gonna jump on in. Oh, I forgot to mention, at the end, time permitting, I will be going to all of the viewers, and if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask a specific content creator or all of us, highlight your message at the end, and I will read them, and we'll do our best to get through them. If there's a whole bunch and we can't get to them all, I apologize. We'll try to like maybe do a YouTube video later on to answer the remaining questions. But in the meantime, we're diving in. Okay, so first question. And the first question is going to be going to MissiledineOnline, who I'll be calling Corey because it's just easier for my tag, honestly. Oh!
Yeah, no, I mean, just call me
I was just call him Missy. It's close, right?
that. You also say my name wrong.
What?
Anyways, so like
Do I
you
really?
have to call me Corey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You've done it forever, and I've never corrected you because I don't.
Okay, well, correct me because now I feel stupid.
So it's MissiledineOnline because it rhymes.
Oh.
I know.
In Canada, it rhymes. It's fine.
It's my Canadian. I'm sorry, that's my Canadian accent. I mean, I guess I just want to call you what I normally call you because
I just, I had
TOS.
Corey works.
Oh, okay. I feel. You know what? We're bonding.
It's hurt my feelings every time, but no, it's
oh my
fine.
God, I'm sorry. So Corey, Corey, what got you into WoW originally?
So I was actually a really big Warcraft 3 player way back in the day, and by really big I mean I just played the campaign over and over and over and over. I did do some like online stuff. My cousin was super into Warcraft. I was actually an RPG guy and like loved Final Fantasy games, and I always would be like, look how awesome these cinematics are. And I remember the first time I ever saw WoW, this was 2000 or just Warcraft, had to have been 2001, 2002. And he was like, yeah, those games, look at this. And he like showed me the Warcraft 3 cinematics, and ever since then I've been obsessed with this world. And then World of Warcraft came out, and I started playing late. I started playing in 2005 actually, so it was like it had already been out, and I got it after the holiday, and hated it. I hated this game. So I was so used to Warcraft 3 where you would jump in and you would play and like that was it. And I started an Orc Warrior, and I was like, this is horrible. It's taking me like 30 minutes to run to this place. I'm not even playing this game. Like, this is bad. So then I re-rolled a human paladin and kind of been stuck playing ever since.
Amazing. I mean, literally. Persephone, you're up next. Same question.
I don't remember the question.
What got you into WoW?
A boy.
Oh.
Specifically, I was 16. I had just switched schools and like didn't know anybody except this one kid that I went to elementary school with, and he was telling me all about how he played WoW, and I was like, ooh, you're kind of cute. Maybe I should play WoW with you. So this was in BC right before Sunwell came out, and I was like, well, he plays a priest, so I should play a priest because we can bond over it, right? I leveled this character up, got it to 70, and then the day I hit 70, he couldn't make the guild's raid time. So I filled in for him, like fresh 70, no gear, nothing. I guess I did better than him, so they offered me his raid spot, and then he got mad at me and stopped talking to me. But like, I was obsessed, so I was playing
with him or the game?
No.
The
game.
Sorry. Okay,
The
just
game.
checking.
But it works out because everybody knows met my husband on WoW, so worked out. Who needed that weird 16-year-old who apparently couldn't even heal? So, like, gosh.
Dodged a bullet. Dodged a bullet.
Exactly.
Will, you're up next.
Mine's pretty simple. I started in RuneScape, and like RuneScape, was a pretty good gateway for MMO for me personally. And then I, as well as Corey, played Warcraft, and it was like, what am I doing in my life? Like, this is crazy. It was like so groundbreaking at the time, like the graphics and the story and stuff like that. So I obviously dabbled in Warcraft 3, and then when I got to WoW, I was raiding in tier 3 Naxxramas. Like, it was like, I'm like super old school. So like when we talk about classic, we'll get on that later. But I'd say the thing that got me into WoW was pretty much like, I have a very sad childhood in that like I have 3 sisters and I don't like them and I don't like to do anything with them. So WoW was like a very good release. Like I could like have all of these friends and like I could meet them in Scarlet Monastery or wherever like the hardest place was to run. Like, you had the key for Scarlet Monastery, cool, you could join my group. And it was just such a great way to connect to people. So for me, the thing that further transitioned me to playing WoW was people. Like, that's how it got me into just completely, because I don't get along with my sisters or family. So yeah, at the end of the day, like pretty much just like the community of WoW pretty much got me into it, I guess I'd say.
That's amazing. HaughtyChicken.
And me. My first introduction to WoW was because I have 2 children. One of them is my son, is my eldest, and he had some friends over, and they were playing a game. And being the good mama bear, I was like, "What are you playing? Let me see this." And they were playing vanilla WoW. And I watched them for a little bit, and all of a sudden, all these computers started to come into our home where they were having these LAN parties. And I thought, okay, I really need to see what you were playing here. And they said, just come make a little character on this account. Don't listen to that, Blizzard. So I just made this little character on this account, and I thought, this is pretty cool. And I'd always played video games since I was young. Whatever it was, I would play it, but I'd never played an MMO before, or MMORPG. And I was absolutely hooked. And then I started to fight my son for WoW time. I was like, let mum sit here. I just need to check a few things, you know. And then I thought, no, I need to get my own. And I remember I got vanilla WoW. I started playing it, and I was so obsessed with it that when BC came out, I actually rang the computer store. I said, please deliver it. Please, I'm ready here now. Please deliver it. They actually brought it to my door. I was so anxious to get it. And I was hooked, absolutely hooked. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. My son's long since stopped playing. He was Horde then anyway. He played an undead rogue, I believe. And I was a lion, so I'd made a human, and that was it. And I still play her to this day.
Wow. That's amazing. So I'm like the baby. I started playing WoW in Wrath. And I also started playing WoW because of a boy. We don't talk anymore either, though. But that's why I started playing WoW. I actually started as Horde, and then, you know, him and I didn't work out. So, of course, I jumped shipped and went Alliance.
Correct way. Yeah.
So all I'm saying is you must not be that great of a holy priest if you just
Persephone, I
steal
got
a raid
you.
spot.
Persephone, I got you.
Wow,
Big
I feel
day.
attacked. Yeah, I'm still a holy priest to this day. Holy priest is best priest. Just putting it out there. Next question is going to you, Persephone, to start. Why do you play your current faction and your current main?
Well, like I said, I started playing because of a boy. I had originally picked Alliance because I wanted to make a character that looked like me at the time, because, you know, 16-year-old girls had no experience with video games except if you count Neopets. So I was like, I'm a human. I'm gonna make a human. That makes sense, because in my mind, of course, like, everybody would just be human because that's what we are. But he was like, no, I'm Horde. And so I made an undead and, like, kind of fell in love with Sylvanas and the story of the Horde and, like, everything about the Horde. So that's why I'm a Horde main always. Like, I try not to even do farms that require Alliance characters. Like, no. And the reason I'm a priest is because anytime I try to play anything but a priest, I don't enjoy it. And that's why I play Holy as well and not Disc, because I enjoy Holy. And that's what I am. I am a Holy priest. You can't change my mind. And that's about it.
Fair. Will, you're next.
Why do I play the faction I play?
And your current main.
So my current main is the Troll Shaman. I end up switching mains every 2 X packs because my brain just like needs a change of pace. So right now I'm a Troll Shaman, which is what I've established for like the past month, and I plan to go into Shadowlands with it. We'll see how that goes. But the thing that gets me with the faction is this is a very deep-rooted thing for me, and someone like Corey and Haughty probably would agree to an extent of maybe that's why they choose their faction, or like Haughty's bi-faction. I think, are you bi-factional too,
Yeah.
Corey?
Yeah, a little bit.
So for me, I like seeing both sides to a situation. I think that's super important in anything in life. However, the Horde speaks to me more so from my soul. I started in vanilla as Horde, and I still am that way. Now, the thing that kept me even more rooted into Horde was the concepts of the Horde. So the ideologies. Wow, words. And so the Horde basically, like, minus the first Horde invasion, we're not counting that when I'm talking about the Horde, is basically rooted from the oppression and the diversity that they have felt throughout their whole existence, I guess, whether it be from Taurens to Blood Elves. They all like came to like a unified goal of feeling like the outsiders or outcasts to an extent, and that's what really resonated with me further in the storylines and throughout WoW. Is I generally feel like an outcast for who I am just in general, and so the Horde is like great because at the end of the day, like, they're all different, but they all come together for a common goal and stuff, and they generally accept each other's differences. And then at the end of the day, they just go to Orgrimmar and smoke hookahs, and it's like really fucking cool. Sorry, like it's really great. So I like the Horde's, the Horde based. I think to me, the Horde is based on the ideas and the conception of being unique and diverse, and that it all will be coming together to like in a melding pot, if you will, to have this common goal. And that's just like, I don't know what the common goal is, but for me it's like kicking in an Orgmar at the end of the day with a hookah. Like that's me. But yeah, so sorry.
Fair. Haughty?
Oh, right. Okay. So, I didn't think I'd be next. So, as you can tell, we're bifactional now. However, when I get asked, and I do get asked this often, would I have a preference? Look, it is Alliance. I'm blue in my heart. We grew up Alliance, is how we put it. I've been playing Alliance since vanilla. It's only actually been recent that we started to explore the Horde, and that was for understanding of both stories. And more people are saying to us, we want to know the story of both sides. So that's why we play both sides. But I chose the Alliance a little bit opposite to what Will is saying. I found the haphazardness of the Horde disturbing to my senses. I couldn't deal with this ad hoc group of, at the time I thought, ne'er-do-wells, and I liked what's the word I can put? How uniform the Alliance was to me. How well put together they were to me, and I found that a comfort. That's why I chose the Alliance. I liked that everything had order, although there were differences. It was order within those differences. Yet when I looked across at the Horde, I just thought, I can't even begin to know I have no idea where torrents there, what's going on. I have a little bit of a difference of opinion now that I'm exploring the lore. I have a lot more empathy for them. I still have a slightly bluer heart than I would say the other. But yeah, it was the uniformity and the structure of the Alliance that got me, and still gets me a little bit today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Corey?
I mean, I'm Alliance. I'm Alliance because I wanted to play a Paladin. And it's a lot of their architecture, actually. There's something about Horde architecture that I've never really been into. It's all spiky and like kind of like put there, which I get. It totally makes sense, but I just prefer like the gleaming castles of Stormwind and the music that you get in the Alliance zones. As soon as you start as like a human Paladin back then, that music starts and you're in Northshire and Stormwind's right there, right? It's like, it's barely even a walk and you are in this grand city. It doesn't feel like you're starting in this like dirt hovel thing. But I will say, if I had started playing WoW right now, like if I was brand new, I would play a Tauren Paladin, and like that's it. Like I would probably only play a Tauren Paladin. I love the Tauren. The Tauren are my favorite race. But now I main a Draenei Paladin. I really like that they're like these ancient space-faring creatures. Yeah.
Fair. So I was Horde to start, but I'm Alliance main, and I'm Alliance because pink-haired gnomes with pigtails. That's why I'm Alliance. I might be a void elf now, but I love gnomes so much. I change my main's race on the Alliance side every like month or so, but I love pink-haired gnomes so much. They're so cute, and that's why I'm Alliance. Oh my Lanta. Okay, so
I just want to add that like when Haughty was talking, I was picturing like the Horde is a rave and the Alliance are like a cotillion, like dancing like that. Like if we were to, yeah. So you want
I agree.
You want the nice like fancy dancing, and we're over here just like headbanging, like
It's like chaotic.
running
That's
into
why I
each
like the
other.
Horde. Yeah.
okay, fair. Okay, so next one I'm going to ask then. This is kind of getting into Shadowlands a little bit. So what, if anything, have you really liked this expansion that you haven't seen in another expansion? Like, is there a different game style, a different way you had to do something? Maybe you had to make gold a different way. Maybe you really liked island expeditions. Like, what this expansion specifically did you like something compared to the other ones? Starting with Haughty.
Are you talking about what did I like about BFA compared to the other ones?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Look, I don't mind the island expeditions. Having said that, I haven't done any for a while. You throw me on this one now. I'm trying to think what it is that I like. To be honest, because I played Alliance mostly through BFA, I absolutely love the fact that I could go across to the Horde zone to level. When I first heard that was coming, I thought, how does that even work? What does that even look like? And so when we started to play, I was besotted with the fact that we were going over to the Horde area to level, and that was fantastic to me. I thought that was amazing. I loved that. That was
Okay.
the biggest thing for me. Yeah.
Perfect. Corey.
Borealis. I think Borealis is like one of the best cities ever. Like I could spend all day literally just sitting there listening to the birds and the waves, and dude, I love it. But I also actually really like BFA, which I know is like, to me it feels like a continuation of Legion. It doesn't feel like it drastically changed anything from Legion, really. It really does feel like a tried and true sequel to me, and I kind of like that. It doesn't feel groundbreaking from Legion, but it just feels like more. And I love the story. I really like what's happened with the characters. I'm a big Jaina fan, so yeah, I've really liked kind of the story and the places of BFA.
Nice. Persephone.
The only thing that can really come to mind about like my favorite thing about this expansion is like, honestly, this might sound weird, but as a gold maker specifically, and like somebody who really likes to level a lot of characters, the new recruiter friend system, the way that works has been just amazing in my opinion. The way that you can recruit yourself or friends depending on what you're doing with the game, and all the rewards that they've added, I think are a lot better than the rewards from the past. The way that they've scaled that, and like as I multi-box, right? So I recruiter friended all myself, and so now every 3 accounts that I pay for, my main account gets a free month of WoW. Like that's so good as a multi-boxer, and I'm just like, yes. Other than that, like yeah, like actual gameplay, I'd probably have to say like I've always loved like the scenarios for Mists of Pandaria were amazing. Like I loved those, and so the fact that they like kind of brought them back with island expeditions, I wish they were a little bit more story oriented. But other than that, yeah, like island expeditions are great, and I don't understand why people hate them. I really don't.
Fair. Will.
Actually, I'm super opposite of Corey in that I'm like, troll is my favorite race. Like trolls have like so much history in WoW, and so being on Zandalar is like so epic because at one time like the whole Pangea of WoW was like literally owned by trolls at one point. So when you talk about like the most ancient empire that's ever existed, even though like Horde players will super complain that like things are not as accessible, like why are transmog vendors nowhere near the portal room is beyond me. But compared to Borealis, I like really like Dazzalore period there. And then I also really do enjoy the depth that they're taking with the story, which I feel like they started to go along of like, hey, let's continue like our lore, like going in depth with it at Pandaria. I feel like that's when they really started to get some like chunky lore out. So then Legion had like, you know, amazing stuff coming out of it, and then so BFA we see like Derek Proudmore being released to the lot, and then you have Bane, like there's so much going on. And so I think that for me, like them continuing going so deeply cut into the lore is so great, and we're just gonna find so much stuff from Shadowlands that is and so I'm just blown away. So regardless of if I like what came out of that lore scenario or whatever, it's that I got all that information, and it was all just really cool. Whether it be Valera like coming to Dazzalore, and it's like, hey, what's she doing here? Like, what's she doing? Because we know that she mostly Alliance, and she like them like, but anyways. And then Wrathion came back, and then you see like Magni taking a huge role. Like tons of cool people just came back. So again, I guess what I'd say I liked most in BFA was that they are trying to like carve in some really great lore and to set us up for expansions to come. And one of my, I will say, I don't think this is really spoiler. So Il'gynoth, when you you fight him quite often, but Il'gynoth, like he says some really cool things that I think if you don't pay attention to them, you should start paying attention to them, because there's some really cool stuff that he whispers, and like so they give us some really cool treats this expansion for setting up in the future. So I really like those things about it.
I like the Jane amount. Oh, go ahead.
I have a ghost. I'm sorry.
You just want to be the shining star. We'll allow it.
Didn't even notice.
It's a
I'm
she.
farming right now.
Oh,
it's a
no
she.
idea.
She does it all the time.
Oh.
We call her Karen. We think,
Oh
we
my
think her name's Karen.
Well, she's Karen.
We think,
Well, she's
I don't know.
I actually disagree with Corey. I think that BFA is probably the worst expansion I've played. Which I don't know if everyone like I might get some like what, but this is the first expansion I've taken the longest break from. I didn't think the raid was enough to keep me intrigued in the game. I did like the story, but it wasn't enough. And as a Holy Priest main, I didn't like going to an expansion feeling like I got crazy weaker because I just worked so hard to get the artifact up, and then I lost all of my passive abilities. And like I just didn't feel like my character grew at all. So I played Aldir, and then I stopped playing until basically this last raid tier when we reformed Tilted Halos. But I would actually rank BFA under WoD, and I think WoD has a real. And I know. I think
we all just went like.
I know, but there's a reason though. I think so. If you were a gold maker, you loved WoD, but I think WoD has a really.
No, it was for the actual gameplay.
Oh, okay, fair. Well, this actually goes into my next question. My next question is like, how would you rank the expansions from when you've played? So I'm gonna jump on this first because it's gonna like jump into my like yeah. But I think that BFA is probably the worst for me because my character didn't grow anywhere, and then second would be WoD because. WoD for me had a problem because it had a year of like a content drought, but the raiding in WoD was amazing. If you raided in WoD, you loved it. And it was engaging, and the reason you didn't like it was the last raid because it was so long and there was nothing new. The garrison, living in your garrison, maybe that wasn't great because you didn't really explore anywhere, but that's not that much different than sitting in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, flying in circles, which a lot of people do. So for me, BFA didn't grab me. It was cute, but it wasn't enough to keep my engagement for the entire expansion. Like I missed some big raids, like the Jaina raid, that would have been a huge raid to do, and I had zero interest in even trying to play it again. It just wasn't my jam. My favorite expansion is MOP. I loved MOP. I think that is when raiding was the best for me. I liked that I liked the 10-man and the 25-man. I liked those differences, and I liked that there were different fights that were harder on different difficulties and easier. I liked that gameplay. They also introduced LFR in there, which hate it or love it. I think LFR was good in MOP because it was hard, and you still had to do something. It was kind of like doing a dungeon because no one really knew what was happening. The other expansions, it can kind of just go in the middle, but I was not a fan of BFA this expansion. So in keeping the theme of rating your expansions, how would you rate your expansions to start? Will?
Can I just do like a top 3?
Yeah,
cool? Sure.
Do your favorite 3 and like your worst.
So my first is BC. I really enjoyed the storyline of BC, especially I feel like they fluidly brought in the Blood Elves and the Draenei, and were able to give each side different classes that the previous side didn't have before. So I've always been Horde, so I've always been used to Shaman, but you know, I don't, obviously from a functionality standpoint, that really was unfair to Alliance that they didn't have the chance for a Shaman. So when Draenei came in and gave them Shaman, I thought that was really good. So BC gave a lot of really cool story. I really loved Isle of Kel'Danas. We got to see the Sunwell, and Kael'thas was a very unfortunately tragic character, another, you know, tragedy of WoW, but it was just really cool. We, like, coming from vanilla, BC felt like such a new world, and it was literally a new world. We got Outland. So anyways, BC aesthetically, lore-wise, really enjoyed it. Second up, I'd have to say Mr. Pandaria. We got some incredible artwork from it, and just an overall vibe. The whole Oriental aesthetic is just beautiful, and we got monks, and I think monks are a really great and fun class. I feel like the rating in Mr. Pandaria, I think Cell disagrees with me, but I think the rating was, I don't know if you do, but I think you do. I think the rating was decent, and I thought it was engaging. The only thing I didn't really like about Mr. Pandaria was the amount of spells, and there was a lot of stuff going on in Mr. Pandaria for me. But Mr. Pandaria was aesthetically a gorgeous expansion, and so it takes number 2 for me. I'd have to say number 3 probably would, I don't know. I'd probably say Wrath, just because I have a lot of memories. That was like the height of my rating when I was still a kid, and I could still raid, like, you know, and I didn't have to like schedule around anything. So like I was in top 3 rating in BC and Wrath on the server I was on, and it was a great time. Anyway, so Wrath was great. I have the most memories. I'm not going to do a bottom 3 for me, but I'll say that WoD was my least favorite, just because when you start initiating alternate timelines into games and stories, things get really up. Like, it's from a lore nerd, like, we know that we know that alternate timelines exist, that's fine, but then when you start bringing those characters, it's like, hey, I'm gonna cross over to the present time. It's like, oh my, so Gul'dan's dead, but he's actually coming back, and it's like crazy to me. So I only dislike WoD because an alternate universe is just, very hard to flow with like any game or story, to be quite honest. And so obviously the lack of content for a year was poopy in of itself, but for me, the lore and meshing it was just, I don't think that there was a way that it could have been done better, because that's just how alternate universes are to me. So I would say that WoD is my least favorite. So
Corey.
All right, so top 3. All right, wait, hang on. Let me start with my bottom 3, because my bottom 3, the bottom of the bottom is BC. Sorry.
Yikes!
Kicking out right
Yeah.
now.
Continue.
No,
Wow.
Continue.
So, okay,
Wow.
so I loved the like when you first get into Outland, it's great. But then for me, I was still kind of a solo player. I was still really young, and I didn't have anybody to play with. Trying to do anything in BC by yourself, or like trying to get into a group, was like impossible. You had to get attuned, but you had to get a group to get attuned.
Good point.
So anytime you would try to do a dungeon, they were like, "Oh, are you attuned?" I'm like, "No, I don't. I need to do that." And they'd be like, "No, I'm good." And well, okay, so I can't do that. Then I can't do that. Then I can't do that. And it's like, well, sure. And like, people would be like, "Oh, I can't believe Kael'thas," and I'd be like, "I have no idea. Like, why did they do that with the story? What do you mean? What happened with the Naga are now what? Last time we saw, they were like doing something, and now Illidan's bad. And why is this story happening this way?" And like, I got so mad. I did not like TVC. And then I would probably put WoD there, like second. Don't really like WoD, but the only reason I don't like WoD is because it did something. So I don't think the garrison was bad. I think we made the garrison bad because we decided that we were going to stay in it all the time. And like, that's kind of on Blizzard, but like, it's mostly on us. Like we decided that we were going to stay in our garrison all the time. What I don't like about WoD is that it felt like they skipped an entire part of the story. And like, suddenly Gromash was like our buddy. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? I actually, for the rating, Blackrock Foundry, fantastic. I didn't like High Mall, and I don't remember anything from Hellfire. Like, I don't remember a single boss. I remember Tyrant. That's it. It's like the only boss I remember. And Archimond at the end. But like, other than that, I don't really remember anything. I don't know if I have like a third worst. So for top, my favorites would be Wrath. Just because that was the one where I felt like I finally was like really getting involved in the game and was able to do raiding and dungeons and all this other stuff. I kind of feel like it's the most it's like the modern bedrock of what we have now for WoW, personally. I love the fact that everywhere you go, the Lich King is right there waiting for you. Like, you turn a corner and he's like, "Hey, by the way, I'm gonna ruin your day." Like, it's great. Second would be Mist. I gotta go with Mist. Mist was great. Even the farm, like, I loved farming. So relaxing. And pet battles, I like pet battles. And then for me, Legion would be the third. I thought all of the Legion was the first time that I went like super hard and I got every single mage tower on every spec done, which was like the first time I've ever like, this is the big project, I want to get it done, and that's what I did. And all the artifact quest lines were amazing.
Nice. HaughtyChicken.
Oh, sorry, I was getting into what Corey was saying.
No.
Same, yeah, it was, yeah.
Sorry. Lich King, absolutely my first, always been my first. And even though I played from before BC, I agree with what Corey said. Just the story development, every zone had me mesmerized. I absolutely loved Lich King. And also at the same time, I was in the States when it was released, and it was my first experience of lining up for a midnight release, and it was such a vibe to it. There were people around the block a couple of times. It was like there were almost barbecues. It was such this fun event. And so that springboarded me into that. Of course, that's when I was, dating Mr. HaughtyChicken at the same time. So there's all that emotional stuff combined with it. So, but I just adored that. Really close second, I'm agreeing with Will on this, was BC. Going from vanilla into BC was an amazing step. And then, of course, the next step up was Lich King, which I loved. Then MOP, simply because of the aesthetic. And I still go to MOP now. If I'm having a pretty crappy day, I'll go to MOP just to chill. I love that zone. I love the aesthetic so much. Worst, WoD. Could never get into WoD, still can't get into WoD. Maybe when I can fly, because no, I still can't fly. I might like it more. Although I love the garrisons, and like Corey, I love the farms. I love little in-game places for me to go and just chill because I don't always do people, so that's just cool. And Legion, no, my guild at the time had disbanded, an implosion and an explosion at the same time, so I didn't do any raiding at all in Legion, and I just disliked so much of it, to be fair. So yeah, there's mine.
Fair. Persephone.
I'm gonna make some people upset. Oh, this is not gonna be good. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the bottom ones for me, and in no particular order, it's going to be Kata, the current expansion, and Wrath. And I'm gonna explain why I put Wrath in the
door
bottom.
is over there.
I gotta
Persephone.
go.
The door
I will
is over there.
explain. Well, it's partly because of my own experiences with trying to raid and progress in Wrath, but also, like, unlike what a lot of people say about WoD, there was just too much to do in Wrath. Like, it was overwhelming. There was too much content, and I know that sounds crazy, but when you logged in, most of the players at that time were still school-aged people, either high school and college. Like, you logged in, you only had a certain amount of time. That's the same with adults too, and you had a bajillion things to do, and it was overwhelming, and it was just easier just to log off and go play something else because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And that's my reasoning. And mainly it's, if they would have just like not done the patch that did Trial of the Crusader, like just got rid of that patch and just went Ulduar to ICC, 100%, I would have been fine with it. That would have been one of my favorite expansions. But that patch kind of ruined the game for me during that expansion. Like, I just couldn't. Nuh-uh. I hated it. Hated everything about it. As far as my top three, this is also going to be controversial. My top three, mainly just one of the options, but it's WoD is one of my top three. Mists of Pandaria for some of the same reasons. Mists had enough content, but it was spread out properly where you didn't feel overwhelmed every time you logged in. And the other expansion would be BC for, again, the same reasons. But I'm gonna petition for people to change their opinions on WoD right now. If anybody out there doesn't like WoD because you didn't have anything to do, there was content. There was always something to do, but you didn't get overwhelmed. Did you want to be overwhelmed? If you didn't leave your garrison, that's on you. There was plenty of things to do outside that door, and I did them, and the raids were beautiful. It could have used one more patch, but overlooking that, everything that they gave us was fun and engaging. It's just like they forgot to give us something, and that's my opinion on WoD.
It's fair.
I love it.
100% fair. Okay, so this is a question for Corey. Corey, where do you think Sylvanas' story is headed?
Okay, so I love Sylvanas so much. I literally have, you can't see it, but I have her burning Teldrassil here. Sorry, Night Elves. I also love Teldrassil, but I just love her. Anyways, I keep seeing everybody be like, oh, they're gonna redeem her, they're gonna go for a redemption. I don't really think she needs a redemption because I don't think has anything to redeem herself for. Sylvanas has always been out for herself, out for her Forsaken. That's it. Like, it literally does not matter anything else, and she has always been that way. Wrathgate, her. Like, she orchestrated that whole thing. Like, she knew that the best way to get the Lich King was to lie and make this all happen, right? Then she hid it so that, because it kind of got found out, it didn't work. She still needed to take him down. Her mission was still there. I think that Sylvanas will always go after whatever her mission is, no matter what. And she's on a mission right now. And, she literally says, like, this world is a prison. And then we find out that there's actually this realm that's like an eternal realm where people don't have to suffer anymore. Like, well, unless you go to the Maw. But, like, all of these things. And she obviously wants to, like, stop her people from going to the Maw. Like, she's seen the Maw. She knows how horrible it is. She wants to stop that from happening. I don't think she has anything to redeem or not redeem herself for. I think she's doing what we would expect, which is looking out for herself.
Okay. Persephone.
Sorry, Bandit was trying to destroy a toy. So I've gone on enough rants about Sylvanas that I'm gonna I agree with Corey. Like, everything about Sylvanas. Also, I've gone on my rant about where I think Sylvanas' story is going, where I don't think her intentions are evil. Everything she's done since Icecrown Citadel is coming to a point in the next expansion that I think everybody won't necessarily need, like, get like, oh, well, we forgive her, everything's fine. But I think it'll make sense as long as I'm right. And like, I don't know, Christy Golden seems to think I have a pretty good opinion. But as far as that goes, it's like, I feel like she's trying to reach a goal, but she's going about it the wrong way. And so I don't necessarily think that Sylvanas is going to be redeemed, but I think that some people will understand her goals in the next expansion. But also, yay for the Dark Lady.
William.
I don't know. I don't really have much of a like take on like, so both of you guys touched upon it. I don't really know if I can expand further. The only thing I'd have to say is like, obviously during that cinematic when she's like, you're all nothing, and like she's technically not even Horde right now, sure, but her people still are. Remember that. So she has her legacy still in the Horde when you think about it. And so Kaya, it's also like confirmed that Kaya and Lillian aren't even the Forsaken leaders coming up. Like, they're not even going to be taking a step up, at least at this point in time. So for me, when Sylvanas says something like you're all nothing or something, it kind of makes me feel like that there's like, by her saying that, she kind of wants people, maybe it's a deflection of some sort, and she's like, I want them to be like not caring about me for some, I don't really know. I'm not really like, I'm really good at theory crafting, but Sylvanas is just one of those that they can just take anywhere that they want, honestly. So where do I see her? I don't have much of an image for Sylvanas as to where she's going, as to where her legacy of the Forsaken is going, which is a more interesting topic to me personally, because she literally has like broke free all her people, you know, from the Lich King's grasp, and she, you know, they constantly make more with Valkyrs and all that good stuff. So for me, I'm more interested to see where her people and her legacy goes. Like, does she ever return to her people, etc.? So I'd really like to understand, like, did she ditch her people at the end of the day too? Like, what's going on? So I don't really know if I have a clear-cut vision. I don't know if I'd like to see her go a certain way. I would just like to understand, like, I want to see like what's with her, like, denouncing the Horde is okay, but like, you got your people are in the Horde, so like, and I know that you are always for yourself, but if you're always for yourself, then you wouldn't really care about releasing these other people if you didn't have some kind of empathy or something. So I think that's my best answer. Sorry.
That's good. Haughty.
Oh, goodness me. Every now and again, I get nudged off this fence that I very precariously sit on when I say that I'm following both sides. And sometimes it's sort of nudging over this side of the fence, just which side? No, it's nudging over to this side of the fence just a little bit more. Look, we talk about this very briefly often, having a community that is bifactional or one or the other. It often comes up. And my answer is usually that I find her quintessentially broken. I find her very, very broken as a character. And the more I learn about her and the lore, the more I believe that. And do I believe that she should be forgiven? Should there be a redemption? My blue heart says absolutely not. What I do fear is that we learn whatever her story will be. I fear that it will be shallow, and I don't want it to be shallow, because I think as a character within World of Warcraft and within the lore, she deserves much, much more than that. Whatever the story comes to be, whatever we do learn about her in Shadowlands and beyond, and I don't know if there'll be a beyond for her, actually, personally, after Shadowlands. Give her due attention, given her story and her place within the world that we live in. That's pretty much all I have with that. She's broken. She's quite broken.
That's 100% fair. So I might be an alliance main, but I do love Sylvanas as a character, and I love about Sylvanas is that she's a very calculated, like, champion, like, leader. She knows what she's doing. Even like, so that there's a cutscene where she says, "You're all nothing," but she literally pauses and she looks at everybody. She wants to see what reaction happens. So I do think this entire what she's been doing, it is going to be for a reason or a purpose. Something I don't really like is I think Blizzard has made a lot of their strong female, like, leaders and characters kind of all the gone crazy. Like I'm thinking of like if you look at Jaina kind of had the same situation. Sylvanas has a situation. I think Tyrande's also like they're making these really strong female characters, but they're making them like not like I feel like there is some sort of
Unhinged.
kind of, yeah. And I almost feel like there is some like maybe this is just me looking too hard into it, but I do feel there is a bit of a level of sexism there, and I don't know why, but I would like to see like a female, one of these strong female characters like really step up. And like if you like, I don't know, I think for me like Illyria, I think Illyria should be leading the alliance, but I think Illyria is like I'm worried that something's gonna happen with her and Sylvanas next. Like there's something there I'm thinking, because Illyria is a big character in Shadowlands, and I think it's proved she's a big character by being in the visions in Stormwind. She's the one you fight. So I'm a little bit worried there's something going to happen between the two between Illyria and Sylvanas in either the end of this expansion or going into BFA.
So I think you're right, by the way, and this is going to get topical. You can shut me down. I think it is sexism, but I think it's our sexism. Because I think if any of these characters were male doing these things, people would be like, oh yeah, of course. Like, yeah, why wouldn't they be angry? Why wouldn't they be mad? But when it's suddenly a female getting angry like that, suddenly it's like, oh, they're unhinged, they're crazy, they've lost their mind, like but it's like, dude, Tyrande, these people she has known for thousands upon thousands of years, and they have all just gone up in flames. Like, why wouldn't she want every single person left to be like, that is totally, to me, that's not unhinged. That's like, if Anduin suddenly lost Stormwind and he was to do this, people wouldn't be like, oh, he's crazy. They'd be like, yeah, he wants his revenge, you know? And I think we've seen that with other characters too. Like Garrosh was literally manipulated, and people are, or by an old god, and people are still like, oh, Garrosh did nothing wrong.
So I will say, as a woman who grew up playing this game and seeing how they took every strong female character, I don't think it's necessarily our sexism that's doing it. It's when you see a strong female character and Blizzard goes, haha, she's going to do something that a lot of people might think is too far, where we have instances of strong male characters that aren't doing the same thing. There's a small pool of female characters to choose from compared to the male. And when they keep taking every female in that direction, it's a little bit of a sexism thing, because it's like, come on, guys, leave us one. And we do have one in Talanji right now. She hasn't gone off the deep end, but like, I have my eyes on her, and if Blizzard does anything to her, I will cut a bitch.
Well,
like,
but I think that's important though, is because what women, realistically, we've only seen arguably three women go enraged and want revenge, right? How many men?
Different like raid bosses that they've put in. That's like, okay, well, see what Ashara did, see what Lady Vash did. Like even when they start bringing in a female character, she goes crazy. So every time they add a new female character, it's like, oh god, what is she gonna do now? And that's like what Blizzard has taught us as an audience to expect. And it's just like, can't you just leave one of them alone? So like Kalia and Talanji, I got my eyes on you.
Chandra's Feathermoon is pretty consistent too. She's pretty big too. So I like Chandra's.
I got my eyes on them. It's not necessarily like,
I don't want to spoil anything.
It's not necessarily every female character, but it's a good majority of them. When you compare it to the amount of male characters, though, it does see there is a bigger instance of them treating female characters that way. Have you
read Shadows Rising yet?
No.
You sound like my husband. No. It's there.
It's
not yet.
Okay.
So yeah,
right.
Careful with those spoilers. Maybe we'll be careful with those ones.
No, I'm not saying anything about
perfect.
it. Yeah, I was just curious.
This does lead into my next question, though. Do you agree with how Tyrande's been, her motions for the Night Elves, the redemption path? You kind of touched a little bit, Corey. I'm disappointed in her as a character a little bit. Yes, I understand like the rage, and I get that, but I feel like she is like, the choices that the Night Elves have made, they kind of have secluded a lot of other people out of it too. And now when they're trying to come together, she's like, fuck y'all, we're on our own. Like, I kind of feel like it's like, it's hard to, you may have won what's that saying? You may have won the battle, but you have won the war kind of a thing. And I feel like I want to see more from them, and not like, the tree's gone. Like, it's a huge thing, but like, I want to see her not just be like stuck on killing somebody. I want to see her as like this giant, well-known character kind of have like an epiphany, maybe. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something from her. Will.
So I know you're not going to agree with me on this, but I say it anyways because I got the tea. So Tyrande, to me, she's always been meh to me. Like, literally, like, I don't really care for her. She's cool. She does her thing in the tree. You do you, girl. But, like, and Cell touched on this the other day in his stream, that he doesn't like that Blizz was like, when the Nightborn came about, and then they're like, well, we're on the Horde now, bye. And, like, he thinks that, you know, Blizzard made a conscious decision to be like Nightborn, Horde. To me, it makes sense because Magic and the previous things that they did have animosity with it, so that animosity was already ingrained into the Night Elves anyways. They're the ones that were like not accepting of the Nightborn and the Highborn, and then you get Blood Elves and all that stuff. Anyways, so for me, Tyrande is really like, I don't know, like the tree doesn't exist now anymore, and that tree was also prophesized, as most of us know, if we're your lore junkie, that it was going to fall because it was never blessed in the first place to be planted there. And Fandral Staghelm was like, you know what, I'm gonna plant this tree, and he planted Teldrassil, blah blah. It just so happened that Sylvanas was the one that took it out, but that tree was going down regardless. So for me, Tyrande, like, I'm curious to see as the Night Warrior thing, and then I probably know just as much as probably Corey, and I don't know how much Haughtie's gone into Shadowlands lore herself, but there's some things that you're going to find out with the Night Warrior that a lot of people, you're not going to be expecting. You're like, what? I didn't even think that was a thing. So, you know, obviously we have the LGBT aspect for the Night Warrior, which is great, but there's something way more cooler out there. Not way more cool, excuse me. Not that what I want to. There's a way more dynamic and way more in-depth thing that will get you on a cool path for the Night Warrior and like being like, oh my God, that's cool. So for me, Tyrande, like, I'd like to see, you know, I'm curious to see what happens in Shadowlands, but she's not like a character that I've always been like, what's Tyrande doing next? Like, she's just chilling in Teldrassil most of the time, just like secluding, like you said previously, which is fine. That's the Night Elf way. Generally, they like to be secluded and not deal with the Alliance politics. So it should come as no surprise when they're like, okay, you guys aren't going to help us. We're going to go take back our land ourselves. And you'll find something interesting where their new home might be, etc. Because that's going to be a topic coming up soon. So I am curious to see where that leads to for Tyrande herself. Sure.
Okay. Haughty.
What was the question?
Sorry, I talk so much.
Do you agree with how Tyrande has been like acting and like her character this expansion?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I have no problem with how she responds. I'm not going to tell anyone what their vengeance looks like. How they respond and what that looks like is up to them. I want to see more of her. I want to hear more of her. But how she does that, if she wants to pick up her ball and go home, that's her call. If she wants to just isolate herself with her crew and go for it, go for it. But I'd like to see that amplified a lot more, because I think there's a lot more to her. She's a lot stronger, and I totally agree with Persephone about our female leaders in WoW. Totally agree with that, and the opportunity for more. So yeah, she can do her. I'm happy with that. But if she is going to do it, I'd like to see it amplified.
Fair.
That's just my thought on that.
Corey.
I mean, here's the thing. Anduin's what, 18 years old, and he's telling this like immortal being that's lived for over 10,000 years, hey, we're not going to help you. After she's like, I've literally been on this earth, like, you're 30 seconds of my life. Like, you are literally nothing. That's so hard, I think, anyways, not only to like, how do you write that, right? Like, how do you write this being that's like trying to live amongst these people, but also recognizing their kind of inferiority in a way? Like, they will never experience anything that these Night Elves have had to experience or have experienced or whatever. Like, she's watched her world end how many times now? And it's like, I think she's absolutely justified in everything that she does. And yeah, I agree with Haughty. Like, who am I to tell her she can't do that? Who's Anduin to tell her that she can't? Who's anybody, right, to say you can't do this?
Okay. Persephone?
So, like, as a Horde main, I've always seen Tyrande as just kind of like this mean girl of WoW. Like, she's been there and I never really liked her. And like, bringing her story more to the front as they have in the last couple of years, like, it hasn't really warmed me up to her, but I also just like it hasn't really made my opinion of her any different. But what Corey was just saying about how she's been around for thousands of years. So like that does kind of shift my thoughts about her a little bit more. Like just then I was like, okay, like maybe. But I still don't like her. She's still like the mean girl of WoW. Like she's there. She's the Regina George. If she's gonna get hit by the bus or not. Like that's all I gotta say.
Fair. So keeping in time, I'm watching the time a little bit. I'm gonna skip a few questions. Those are my lore ones, though. You're welcome, Corey. I want to know: is there anything, any changes that you wish Blizzard would focus on that maybe haven't been on their radar in like the new expansions they've released? Like, is there something that you just hate and you wish that Blizzard would pay attention to it? Starting with Will.
For me, I probably the number one thing I complain about is class design. Someone like Demon Hunter and Warlock are always consistently good, and it seems like they aren't really changing that path with Shadowlands. It seems like they're still good. There might be some nerfs to Demon Hunters coming up in Shadowlands, but like I don't really think that naming a class a hero class should give any, like, I don't know, like Death Knights are a hero class, correct? But like monks were introduced and they're not a hero class, but so we have Death Knights and we have Demon Hunters, whatever. But sorry, to get back to Circle, like Demon Hunters and Warlocks consistently do well, like all the time. I'm not talking about tank Demon Hunters, we're talking about straight up damage. So as someone that does PvP and raids and everything, whatever, like Warlocks and Demon Hunters always are consistently very good. And they're not really going away from that no matter how much feedback. So it's just weird to me that they consistently make these two classes good for me. So, but for me, it's just class design in general, I guess I'd say. Like, I am pretty happy to be doing a shaman and getting most of my totems back and seeing how that all incorporates into my rotations and stuff like that. So I would just like to see, like, I know that class balance and class design is very, I don't know what to say. It's very like hard to do, but I would just like to see more classes shine. Like, you know, I play an Ellie Shaman and, you know, I feel like they're pretty well underrepresented. Most of the time, if you see a DPS Shaman, it's going to be enhancement because they're usually good no matter what. So I would just like to see, like, and my favorite Warlock class or my favorite Warlock spec is Affliction, but like Affliction doesn't really do, you have these classes that have like niche things. Okay, we're going to bring this Warlock and we're going to go Affliction for this one fight where like, I don't know, maybe that's my flawed design, thinking that I'd like to see like a class be, or classes in their specs be consistent instead of being like Destro's good for this fight and Affliction's good for this fight. Like if I'm someone, actually I'm gonna stop that real quick because I remembered something else. Healing. I really like healing. Now as a healer, when I heal, like healing is pretty much my main thing when I'm not tanking or whatever. Like DPS for me is third. As a healer, me personally, I don't like having a DPS end game to like be an efficient healer. I understand that like you have to beat the clock or whatever, but I don't feel like that a healer's DPS should be important to timing a key or whatever. Like I just want to heal. Like I'm a healer because I want to heal. Like there's probably some people out there really like healing and DPS. I'm not one of them, and I feel like that punishes someone like me where it's like, hey, if you want to be in 22 keys plus, like you like Cell, you're helpful in that. When I talk to you about this, you're like, hey, well, I mean there's downtime and what else you're gonna do. My downtime is literally just like I want to cast more heal spells. Like that's just me. Like I don't want to like toss on, you know, an extra crackling jade lightning onto the boss or whatever. So like I don't know if there could be something more forgiving for something like healers, because like I literally just like to heal. Like I don't want a DPS. That's just me. I might be the minority. Maybe that's what they're shifting towards, and I don't know if I can change with that, but I would like to see a little bit more. I guess this just goes into class design. So for me, big issue, class design.
I want to touch on that really quick with the healing and the damage and not doing a 22 key. There's not a lot of people that can do that. I think Blizzard has kind of tried to make those classes that can't do damage feel more relevant, because you can still do anybody can do a 15, and 15 is where like your chest at the end of the week, that's like the cap of your gear. So I feel like if you want to do those like high 20 keys, you need to pick the right class. And unfortunately, not everybody agrees with that. But Blizzard's given like, not everyone's gonna also Mythic Raid. Like Mythic Raid is like what, 2% of the population or something. So I kind of think like I like having those options. I don't like necessarily playing a Disc Priest, but I know if I want to do a higher key, I likely will need to learn or be a better Disc Priest to push that. So I think Blizzard has given options, just maybe you're not going to be the meta. It's kind of the same thing if you look at Arena, right? Like, there was a long time where Frost Mage and Rogue and Disc Priest was, like, the best. I kind of think that's the way that Blizzard's design is going to be, and I can't see them really changing that right now. But I could see them adding other things to those healers that don't do damage to make them more attractive to bring to those keys.
Like, on that same thing, like, we're both Holy Priest mains, so we understand the pain of, like, not being taken to a run or a key because of our spec. Because, and, like, people, like, that's what actually I was going to say, so I hope you don't mind that I kind of, like, skipped to myself, because it's kind of on the same thing, is trying to, I wish Blizzard would kind of fix the community aspect of World of Warcraft. Like, even, like, a 15, like you said, anybody, if you know how to play your class, can do a 15. But me over here as a 475 holy priest gets denied from 12s when I tell them I'm holy. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I should be able to get into that key. I can do that in my sleep. I can heal that with my eyes closed. But they're like, they have, well, the top raid or the top groups are running disc if they bring the priest at all. And it's like, yeah, when they're running like 28s, this is a 12. Like, stop it. And then
I agree.
Then there's also, like, this, with every system that they add, it makes it harder and harder on the community to act like a community, because there's reasons to want to do one run these days, but, like, if I don't get in with my guild, I have to pug it. And that may be issues with my guild, or maybe other people are seeing this as well. Like, we're in that point of the expansion where pugging is a lot more prominent than it used to be, and we have these mentalities from the average player that they won't take, you know, a holy priest, they won't bring this or that and the other because limit doesn't bring that. And it's like, I'm sorry, am I applying for limit? Like, no, like, this is fine. And I just wish Blizzard had a way to try to fix that issue. And it's kind of like community made issues, but also, like, there has to be something they could do to even just ease it up a little bit.
For sure. While we're on you, Persephone, is there anything else that you want to see change that Blizzard hasn't focused on?
No, that was literally what I was going to say. It was perfect.
That works.
Like, it's just snowballed.
Easy. Corey.
Okay, so people are definitely going to disagree with me on this, and I know that, and that's okay. I don't want factions anymore. Or if I do, I want the ability to play with other factions. Like, I think that for World of Warcraft to evolve, for World of Warcraft to, like, join modern day, for World of Warcraft to adapt its stories and tell better stories, we eventually need to stop, like, what are we gonna do? Next expansion, we're gonna be fighting again? And it's like, okay, cool. Like, Alliance and Horde are back at it again. And it's just like, I don't know. I wish that we, like, yeah, still have Horde and Alliance, like, still have these factions, still have your cities, and, like, you know, it's not like, it's still a hostile environment. There's still PvP. There's still people that, you know, but still have the ability to be like, hey, I want to group up with this orc, whatever, that wants to tank this dungeon for us. Because we're still fighting against, like, we're still trying to save Wansamdi and Shadowlands, right? Like, we're still trying, like, we're all after the same goal. I don't see why anymore that there's these, like, hardline factions.
So I just had an idea. So, like, instead of getting rid of them completely, you're saying keep them and maybe add something special for each faction, to where it's like, well, you bring a horde and you get this ability, or they get this bonus, something like that.
We already have mercenary modes, which feel very similar. I wish that we could have, like, a guild that has both Horde and Alliance players in it, or whatever. I just feel like that is the next evolution, at least in my mind, of WoW.
I just know, as someone who's, you know, Horde for 13 years, I even to people that don't play WoW, I tell them that that's part of my identity, that I am a Horde player, and that's why I've never, like, switched to the Alliance. So, like, let's not get rid of them all the way.
Oh, no, definitely not all the way. Like, no. Definitely not all the way.
There's gonna be some regretful tattoos of other people, not me. Like, if you get rid of them all the way.
Identity is super important in this game, like 100%. And I just wish, though, that, like, I just don't see a reason why I can't be like, hey, Tauren guy, like, you know, you want to also save the Azeroth, right? Like, you want to help us kill N'Zoth, please? Like, he's right there, you know? I don't know.
Fair.
You get behind that.
Haughty?
First of all, Will, I'm sorry, but with 16 warlocks, I'm quite happy with how they how they have all the design right now. Sorry. And interestingly enough, I wasn't going to bring it up, but now you brought it up, Corey. Hubby and I, and this conversation started with him. We've been talking about the factions for many, many years, having played for such a long time. And we would like to see a similar, not getting rid of them. I agree with you, Persephone, not getting rid of them, but having an option to somehow join in some sort of some scenario or something. And I go back to a situation where I couldn't get a boss down many years ago, and I quickly went and made a horde so I could talk to the horde player that was there that was also struggling. And I said, look, I'm the alliance sitting on the other side there. Can we work together? I switched back to my alliance, and then the both of us got this thing down. And that has stayed with me for years and years and years. Just this whole mutual, we're on different factions, but for this instance, can we just get along? And so I agree with you. If there was some way that could come in, that would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. And the other thing that I would like to see, and I don't know how it could be done. Sorry, I'll just bring my mic a bit closer. One thing I talked about with Noble when he came into our chat, we have a lore day on Saturday in our community, and often when we're trying to understand the lore, if you don't really know the lore with questing, it gets a bit grey where the lore information is that you can learn as a player, especially if you're a new player. If you're not going off and picking up a copy of War Crimes or going to Google to find out the lore, it's really hard to see it clearly through the storyline when you're questing. And I wish that there was some way we could learn a little bit more through the gameplay, a bit more what is lore, because we have chapters of different storylines within our questing and in our zones. If we could have a little bit more, okay, this is lore, that's just one thing I'd love to see. Don't know how they do it, but
fair.
Yeah.
So a few more questions, and we're going to turn to the viewers, and they can ask us questions. This is kind of like, what are your guys' routines? So when you know an expansion is coming up, what do you do in-game to prepare yourself for an expansion? Starting with Haughty.
Oh, okay, you caught me. Right. Well, as you know, I have a lot of alts. I think I'm up to 54 characters right now, possibly because we play in both regions and both factions. I'll always main my warlock, but I'm trying to solidify which alts are now going to be really put aside, clean out my guild bank, read as much as I can about the expansion. We're in beta, which is helpful on that, and just get rid of all the chaff, basically, because fiddling around a bit of this and a bit of that, and because I'm a casual player, but I now want to ramp up to being less casual in Shadowlands. So it's about determining who I'm taking up, which confidence, and be informed. For me, it's getting informed before we step across into it.
For sure. Persephone.
Okay, so that's kind of a big question for someone like me, because I both raid and do progression, as well as I'm a gold maker. I have quite a bit. I started prepping for Shadowlands about 6 months ago. It includes filling up all my guild banks with old school materials, so I don't have to farm for the first couple months of Shadowlands. It's making sure all of my characters have whatever gear level I've decided is going to be okay to quest in, making sure everybody's bags and gold and everything is consolidated. Picking which character I'm going to level first. Most of the time that's my priest, but it's not always my priest, because sometimes I want to get a different character up for a certain reason. So right now I'm working on restocking my guild banks and making sure I have a lot going. And then I have a goal right now of getting all my characters to 420, because that's what I've decided is going to make them easy enough to quest with without feeling overwhelmed or that I'm behind once the level squish happens and Shadowlands drops. And so that's kind of my goal until pre-patch, because I have the bigger goals of get before Shadowlands. I have my long boy, everything like that. I got it day one. Yeah. But other than that, it's just making sure I'm prepared in every aspect that I want to play in. And it's usually setting up my characters, which is Haughty thinks she has a lot of characters. Maybe not.
It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me.
Where's our Noda? Is he in the chat? Because he has like 5 times the amount I do.
Yikes.
And I thought I had a lot.
Corey.
Take a break.
Okay, that's fair.
My big to do. Whenever there's a new expansion, I typically will take a month or 2 or whatever off and kind of get ready, because I know as soon as that expansion comes out, I am going to sweat a lot in this chair for days on end. So so I just get ready. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm getting 4 characters that I think go with their covenant choices as best as I can. and getting them ready to go day one. And I don't know anything about gold farming. Like I don't know shit. So like I like walk up to the auction house. I'm like, go sell that. I don't know what sells. I don't know. You guys said something about a challenge, a loot thing earlier. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea what that is. But so like I'm trying to get my Brutosaur, and I'm I'm not very close.
I was like, do I want to know the number? Are you gonna hurt my heart?
I'm gonna start working like a street corner for WoW tokens.
Wow.
Hey, I've seen people who have donation goals that are $20 increments to buy WoW tokens for long boys, and they got their long boys, so it works. So
that's crazy.
Just show a little shoulder. I hear Twitch chat likes shoulders.
Perfect.
Will, what about you?
I'm super like chill. I guess like I have one of each class at max level all the time, so I can experience the class like to an extent, and so I like to have knowledge, especially for PvP. It's very important to have knowledge of your enemy. But I'm super chill. Like I take everything out of my bags, like it's all the reagents, should I say, put them in a guild bank, and then I make sure that my UI is clean. I'm a super simplistic UI person. Like I don't use Eevee UI or whatever. I use like Sexy Map. It's like the cutest fucking add-on for my language. The cutest add-on for your map. It's great. You can customize that. And then I have Bartender, and Bartender is super clean. It's super fresh. It's super simplistic. So I make sure that all the characters have all their keybinds and da-da-da. Other than that, after all the technical like keybinds and like my bags are clear, I level with people. Like I am a constant leveler, and it's crazy. Like people consider me crazy, but like I really just like chilling, like listening to my music. Like if you've been to my streams before, mine are super like chill. Like I just literally like have like I'll either have synthwave playing or some really melodic progressive, and it can just let me zone out forever, and I can just talk to people. So if people ever were like, hey, I'm thinking about leveling an alt on your server, I'm like, okay, well I have X, Y, and Z amount of alts that I can level up. And now with Party Sync, it's so much easier for your friends to get involved into WoW too if they have, if they're just starting at level 1. I have alts that are like level 110, and I could still play with them. I was doing that with Cell when he was doing his Blood Elf like a couple weeks ago. So I really like leveling characters. Like I have a whole bunch of characters, but I don't just have characters. I just like the experience of leveling, and my leveling may not be the most interesting either. Like I can literally dungeon grind and be happy with that. Cell, you're not that kind of girl, that's fine, but like I can literally unless it's WoD time walking week. That's not a grind dungeon's gonna be.
Those are so good dungeons though.
So like I just love leveling alts. So like right now what I'm doing with people is a lot of people are getting back involved, and I'm leveling with them. I'm doing dailies and just random stuff, but mostly like I just like chill over the X pack, and people are like, oh, wait for Shadowlands because it'll be 60. Why not start your alt now? Weird concept. Like you start it now, like weird. So I like to help people along with that. So I'm like, I have a lot of people that I currently level with, like, and yeah, just chill like that. So
fair. I trade all of my healers to max level, and right now I'm aiming to get them all at least 460, except for Willpow3red because of the spawns of Satan. But everything else I try to get ready to go. I'm leveling a monk right now, but I want to make sure I've got all my healers ready. So normally, because I do like to understand all of the healers, because healing's in my name. It's literally my Twitch name. I love healing in this game, so I want to make sure I understand stats, rotations, spell changes on all those healers, so I'm ready for Shadowlands, so that if we're on a progression fight, because we only raid 2 nights a week, if there's a fight that like you need a monk healer, let me switch to my alt really quick, and I can make that much easier. I hate that you need to do that, but there are some fights, like even if you think of like in Legion, there was a fight you needed a Resto Shaman because you needed Spirit Link Totem running back and forth on that bridge. You didn't have one, you weren't killing it. So like it's nice to be prepared, and I like to be fully prepared. So that's what I do to get ready for an expansion. I also, don't laugh at me, Persephone, I try to always have at least 1 million gold ready to go into an expansion, but
gold capper bust, baby.
I wish. So I was trying to multi-box, and I was doing, I think, okay at it, but my computer wasn't handling it, so I had to stop. But I did really like multi-boxing, so that's a plan in Shadowlands, is I'm going to try to level my multi-box accounts at the same time. try it anyways.
I would suggest focusing on your main first and then doing your multi-box.
Oh,
Or what
of
I'm
course.
going to be doing, what I'm going to be doing is leveling my one character, right? My one character, while also farming on the other 7 accounts. And it's just like, I'm trying to find a place in the beta where I can standstill farm without interrupting somebody's quest, because I know a lot of people have negative views on multi-boxers, but I never want to be the reason they have negative views on multi-boxers, and that's just my own personal opinion. But if I can't find one of those, I'm gonna find a place where like 5 or 6 herb spawns and 5 or 6 nodes spawn all about. So when I'm like auto running on my priest, I can tab over and pick a couple flowers, then tab back.
Fair.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's gonna be fine.
This next question is a little bit more personal. You guys, if you don't want to answer it, you don't have to, but I think it's a really good way to connect with everybody. What do you think WoW has done for you personally? Like, has it helped you get over an obstacle? Has it helped you come out of your shell? Has it given you like comfort in any type of situation? It's a bit of a deep question, and I apologize because no warning, but we're gonna start with Will on this one.
So can you reiterate? Sorry, I apologize. I was like focused on it and I didn't even.
What has WoW done for you, like personally? Has it helped you in your personal life?
Sure. I've gone through a lot recently. If you know me personally, I still have to. I'm not gonna get on my life story, but like I still have some stuff I gotta do this year, and I had some stuff I had to do last year. That took me away from streaming and games in general for a little bit. So the great part about WoW is that like it just like I said before, when I'm like leveling a character, I just zone out. Like I obviously, like anyone could probably relate to this, but I literally get to forget about all the stuff that's like happy, like all the stuff that's going on in my life. Yes, it still exists at the end of the day, but it's so good to get a reprieve. And like for me, like a huge part when I'm playing WoW is if I'm in, I've said this before, but like if I'm in like a historic area or whatever, like say that I'm at the crater of Dalaran or at the gates of ICC, those things are like really cool, right? Like that from a lore perspective, like that like if you're at the crater of Dalaran, Archimonde was there like making sandcastles and tossing them down at one point. It's like really cool. So like you can go to these places and that has so much stuff happened, and I can like literally take myself out of the world that I live in and put myself in a WoW. So I get to like escape reality, and it's so it helps me to, I guess what I'd say that WoW does for me is it helps me to be like less depressed and maybe a little less self-deprecating at times. I have very bad self-image problems, whether it be body dysmorphia and just my own mental state of being. So like literally people that I met on WoW and like just playing the game helps me to not be in the moment, I guess you could say, and takes me out of that moment. And so for me, it just helps me to cope with reality by taking myself out of reality. And I don't know if that sounds healthy, but to me, like playing WoW and just chilling and listening to my music is just does wonders for my mental energy. And I like feel so like blessed and enlightened when I play WoW. Like I'll log on, like I logged on today, and I was just doing dailies, and like I was just like doing dailies, and I was like I feel so happy right now. I was like I'm so glad. Like it just like. So yeah, it just helps me to escape reality in a healthy way, in my opinion. So,
okay, Corey.
I mean, a lot. I can echo a lot of what Will said about like not really feeling like I don't know, have a place here. So sometimes it feels like I have a place in WoW, which feels nice, to be like I can jump in and people will be like, hey, like they'll actually recognize that I am there. But I mean, also, I kind of owe WoW my job. Like I stream full time, and that was because of a YouTube show that I used to stream for a long time. So it's done a lot. I still have really bad anxiety with pugs, and I still don't like pugging into things because I'm like, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna be like, you're the worst player ever. But tanking actually has helped me like a lot with that, and like because everything's going at my pace, my flow. I get to control pretty much everything. Which makes it feel way more this is my space at the moment and not Facebook.
I echo that, tanking.
Yeah,
okay.
Right? It's like, oh, yeah.
You control the time. The time is your flow. Everyone follows your flow.
Good. You're the boss.
HaughtyChicken.
I was just unmuting myself because, of course, now the neighbours decide to cut their lawns. So, look, I think you know, WoW represents a place where people go to chill. It is, I often look at WoW and gaming generally as a, rather than not escape from reality, it is part of my reality. Gaming has been part of my reality since I was a young girl. And it's somewhere that I go to get enjoyment, to be social, to get away from other things, or to go to. A lot of people say, are you running away from something to go and play your games? And I say, no, I'm going to get something from my games. Most epic loot, and I know many people have the same story. I met my husband in WoW. I met friends in WoW. I still have memories associated with aspects of the game. When I mount my very first Warlock mount that I got, that gives me great joy. When I go to the original Grand, that gives me great joy. And often it's because of the feelings that it gave me, whether I was having an okay time in the real space, in real life, or not. It's just that the memories associated with the game, and it's aging with me. I mean, I'm 58 years old and I'm still enjoying the game as much, if not more, than I did when I discovered it in my early 40s. So for me, it is evolving as I am. So yeah, it's part of my reality, very much so.
It's amazing. Persephone?
I'm gonna try this without getting emotional, because that's a very loaded question for me. So I mentioned earlier I started playing WoW when I was 16. I mentioned it frequently on my stream, is I am on the autism spectrum. A lot of my social interaction skills I learned from World of Warcraft. Most of my closest friends I've met on World of Warcraft. Some of them are in the chat right now. Ellie and Suzu and Draga, even though she probably doesn't want to admit it, are some of my closest friends, and I love them so, so much. I met my husband on World of Warcraft. It's got me through times where I've been close to killing myself, through the loss of my grandfather when I was 16, who raised me. My family didn't understand it, but at the time, instead of grieving with my family, I went into Ventrilo and grieved with my friends. And that's just how I was able to handle everything that was happening. A few years ago, within a month, I moved to a different country, lost a baby that me and my husband had tried for 4 years, lost my mother, and got my identity stolen. So if I didn't have WoW at that moment, I don't know if I'd be sitting here today. And like, people don't understand that, especially when I have issues connecting with people in real life, why I spend so much time in the video games that I do. And it's because these worlds, specifically World of Warcraft, I've shaped my life around. People are saying, you're obsessed with it. No, it's part of my life, and they just don't understand that. And so like, WoW means so much to me, and I surround myself with World of Warcraft even when I'm not playing World of Warcraft, because it is home for me, and I think it's a home for a lot of gamers. All right, like, let's go.
Thank you for sharing that. I think we can all relate in some, like, what you all have said. For me too, like, I started playing WoW when I met that guy, but I'm from it's the capital of Manitoba. It's a really small city. It's Winnipeg, and I don't have a ton of, like, I'm gonna call them the real life, like, friends. There's not a lot of LGBTQ, right? There's not a lot of there's not a lot of LGBTQIA plus community in my city. And when I tried to, like, dip my toes in that community, I kind of didn't get a very nice welcome in that. And I grew up in a small town before that, so, like, I was the farm kid who went to Winnipeg because I was the big gay kid, and, like, I didn't have, like, I didn't have those connections with people. And, like, I'm so jealous of people that are, like, they're in their 30s, like, oh, I'm still really good friends with my friends I had in high school. I've not talked to anybody I graduated with since the day I graduated, and, like, I'm 32 years old, and I definitely have felt, like, alone a good portion of my life. It's actually the reason why I started streaming too. So I did start streaming WoW originally, but I had a really hard time, like, breaking into, like, the WoW scene, I thought. And then I switched to Dead by Daylight, and then I came back to WoW. And I think I wrote this in the gold making Discord a lot too. I think, actually, like, it's so weird how, like, I've never met any of you in person, but, like, I feel like I gravitate. We all have that, like, that WoW is a connection for everybody. And I think everybody who's played WoW has that connection to one another in some capacity. Whether you're Alliance or whether you're Horde, you can all kind of like bond over it. And I think WoW has gotten a lot of people through a lot of stuff. And like when people come to me in my chat in the stream and they're like, so like, I've never played WoW, why do you play this? There's so much to do and there's so much to gain. And I don't think everybody understands that part. Like, I've played WoW for only 13 years. I'm a baby in comparison to you guys. But, like, WoW has definitely, it's changed my life. And again, like, I love hearing these positive stories. And I wish there was a way that Blizzard could, like, put a post out there and, like, collect these stories from people and, like, really pump them out. Because WoW is not just a game where people are, you know, like from Big Bang Theory where we're all dressing up in our wizard hats. Like, we're not. And if you do, that's totally fine. But like, it's more, it literally is a community. And that's why I also want to do this round table, because there are so many like sub communities within WoW. And there's a lot, like, WoW can also be a really toxic place. I know a lot of people that if English is not their first language, they get told some awful things. I know lots of other people where if they're not as good as you're expected to be, people can be really rude and mean and say terrible things because they're behind a screen. That needs to stop. And where does that stop? I think that's controlling the narrative and merging all of these communities together, because we all are people trying to make it through a day. So like, WoW's a huge game, and I really want to like push that forward. I don't think there's ever an okay, and that's not a Blizzard thing, that's not a WoW thing, that's a people thing. But like, WoW is a huge salvation for so many people, and I would like to see it continue to go in that direction. The last question I want to, actually there's two questions left, and then we're gonna go into chat. Sorry. So what advice would you give somebody thinking about wanting to play WoW for the first time? If someone came to your chat today in your stream and said, I want to play WoW, what advice do you have for me? What would you start by saying? Corey?
Do it. Just start, but don't, like, just take your time. Don't, like, if you want to watch some streams and some videos and stuff to get caught up, do it. But like, don't feel like you need to keep up with the Joneses or anything. Like, if you run into a group and some people are mad that you're not doing something, just see if you can find the good part of that and then move on. Like, it sometimes you're gonna run into people that suck. Just move on. They're gonna go away. But yeah, take your time, take it at your pace, learn it the way you want to learn it. Do the things you want to do in the game.
Perfect. Haughty?
I agree. Play your game. Play your game. And if you find good people, stick with good people. Because
Great.
finding good people or good community, even if it's just a couple of people, then that can leave you with a positive experience. It can be very difficult and disheartening for a brand new player to hit that toxicity that we know is there, and that can ruin their experience. And I hate hearing that, and I do hear it. So, and that works on the other side too. If you find a new player, and as content creators, we are finding people brand new to WoW, give them that positive experience as quickly as you can. Hook them up with other good people, because I think that's part of something we can give back to the community from the get-go.
Absolutely. Persephone?
So people come into my stream all the time asking how to get into WoW because they want to be able to pay for it with in-game gold because they found out it's a thing. Some of the first advices I always tell somebody is just download the game. Don't watch videos about it. Don't sit in a lot of people's streams because you're going to get sensory overload. Just enjoy the game for a little while. Play it. See if it's even something that you want to play in the future. Also, another fun tip that people don't even think of, if you've never played World of Warcraft before and you get a random guild invite, accept it. And most people, especially if you've played for a while, it's like, no, those are so awful. You don't want to. No, because those are filled with new players just like you who you can learn together with. Nobody's going to be treating you poorly in those guilds because you don't know something. They're super helpful. You may not end up staying in that guild, but you'll make friends that can help you through World of Warcraft. And that's like the biggest thing I could say is don't overload yourself when trying to learn about World of Warcraft. And they're trying to fix that come Shadowlands with the new leveling system because you don't feel so overwhelmed. So maybe if you get easily overloaded, don't start yet until the pre-patch. Like, that's also another piece of advice I'd probably give someone. But yeah.
Okay.
Accept a guild invite. Don't start till the pre-patch if you get overloaded. Well, fast. Yeah.
Fair. Will?
Go Horde. Done. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye. No. Actually, what's really sad, and I see this on a daily basis, is someone will ask a question, right? And they'll be like, hey, I'm really sorry to bother you, but where's the portal to wherever? And I'm like, oh, no, like, portal's over there, whatever. But the cool part about this, just really quickly, Shadowlands brings out a guide system, and I don't really know the details on this yet, but I'm super signing up to be one of those guides, and I think everyone here should, honestly, because it's going to give, like, new players, if I don't know how it's going to work, maybe one of you has more info than me, but, like, it's basically going to label yourself in some, like, icon or something, and you're going to be a guide to new players, and you'll be able to help them. So for me, like, it stinks because sometimes if you do ask people, like, say you're randomly in Stormwind, you're like, hey, how do you get to Duskwood? And the person would be like, your mom. And it's like, okay, well, that person probably, unfortunately, doesn't represent the majority of people that are probably going to help you. So if you have a question, probably if you have a friend that plays, ask them or something, and that someone should probably obviously help you. But in Shadowlands, that process is going to get a lot better with the guide system, which I'm super excited for. So don't be obviously afraid to ask questions. Like, if someone's just chilling, like, at the auction house in Silvermoon, they're probably AFK doing TSM or something, but maybe finding someone jumping around Orgrimmar or Stormwind might be a better idea, and hopefully they'd give you some advice. But it makes me so sad because, you know, I'll get questions like a couple times a week. Someone would be like, hey, do you know where this is? Or how do I get, like, that transmog you're wearing? It's like, if you think someone has a sexy ass transmog, like, ask them and see where they got it from, you know? Like, so don't be afraid to ask a question. And if someone does give you a horrible response, just ask another person, put that person on block, and, like, go to another person. But again, this process gets better in Shadowlands. So
awesome. I tell people to take the time and don't worry about the gear so much, because that's always right away. Something drops when you're like level 40 and it's got agility on it and it's cloth, but no cloth wears agility. Put it on, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about end game information until you're at end game. Play the quests, learn the zones, take your time, read your quests, and don't be afraid to ask somebody for help if you know who they are. And if you don't, you can try it. You might get a bad response, but I tell a lot of people, if you've got a question, come into the chat, join WoW communities. Like, I know Haughtie's got like 300 people in her WoW community. There are people that will help you, so don't be afraid to ask. But it also, like, when you get to that end game point, the game resets and you've got a whole other bunch of information to look at. So don't worry about it yet, because you're going to stress yourself out for no reason. Worry about what's at hand first. That's my advice I give people. And the last question I'm going to ask everybody, because, you know, we're running out of time, I want to talk to chat too. What are you most excited about for Shadowlands? Starting with Haughty.
Oh, goodness me. Everything. Everything. Covenant, Venthir. Absolutely everything. And because I'm in beta, so I've got my toe in the water already. I love the Covenant system. Soulbinds, I'll watch that space, see what happens. The artwork is on another level. The small details is on another level. I'm just ready for something fresh and something new, and it is all of that. It is all of that.
Nice.
That's my answer.
Perfect. Will?
I mean, there's so much, so I'm trying to, like, sift through my brain. Probably, if I'm such a lore nerd, obviously that's great. I'm, like, super obviously keen to the time aspect, which I'm not going to elaborate on, but there's some really cool concepts as far as in lore coming out. Obviously we have one of the first trans in Portico. What is their name? Pelagos, thank you. And so, but the funny thing is that probably topics or things like trans individuals probably already exist in WoW. So, like, even if this is a controversial topic, there's probably trans individuals all over WoW that just haven't been talked about. And so that's the really cool thing. So obviously some representation is really cool to see in the Pelagos storyline in Bastion. So if any of you want to experience that, Bastion is your place to go for that. And I obviously am, like, super excited for the class system, or the, excuse me, class unpruning. I'm a person that really likes pruned abilities. But I do look forward to seeing some things return for classes, especially, like I said, shamans are getting a good portion of totems back in different forms. Warlocks are getting curses back, I believe, and a few other different things. So I really like to see that classic things that brought you into those characters in the first place. And obviously the lore is going to be great. So there's a reason why something like archaeology wasn't updated, because there's no archaeology in Shadowlands. Like that's slightly controversial as to why, you know, people are like sad or whatever about archaeology, but something like archaeology, there's nothing to dig up in Shadowlands. It's like that, I don't know how to put it better, but so obviously lore, class abilities, and representation in the form of Pelagos, and you're also going to find a little bit more representation in a different form. So like it's just cool, because Shadowlands, I'm excited that it's going to broaden people's brains. Like there's so much more than like, yes, Azeroth we fought for the last 15 years or whatever, but there's so much more that we're still to fight for. So
Nice. Persephone.
Well, not to like cover anybody else's, so I'm just gonna go to the other thing I was gonna think of, and that's to see where Sylvanas' story goes. I don't think Shadowlands is gonna be the last we see of her, but I know some people do. But I don't think a character with that much backstory they're just gonna get rid of. So I kind of want to see. Well, I really want to see where they end up taking her story, and that's the thing I'm looking most forward to in Shadowlands.
Awesome. Corey.
So I like the like tabula rasa type thing about this expansion. To me, it really feels like a clean slate. You know, it feels like the level squish. I actually think that's great. I'm really excited about it. There's a bunch of stuff with that I like really like. The protection paladins right now feel so good on beta. Especially the Kyrian ones with their divine toll ability. I love it. It's so fun. It feels good to just throw out a shield and hit literally everything around you with it, silencing everything. It's great. And obviously the story, like Azara is one of my like, I love her so much. And I want to know what she's doing. And there's like this huge lore reveal, like as soon as we get into Shadowlands, that I'm super excited about. Yeah, I can't wait to see where we go. We can go anywhere.
I'm so basic in comparison. I'm most excited for the customization and the level squish.
Like, I forgot about that.
Colors are good.
Good point.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be like, ooh, I can be pretty.
I want that in pre-patch.
Well, the way they do patches is that all will come in pre-patch, and the only thing that's not going to be in pre-patch is the actual zones. Like they always roll everything out in the pre-patch and then just like activate the zones when the game goes live.
So excited.
So we'll get that in pre-patch.
It's a good response. I promise. It's not any lesser than us. I promise you that.
We just didn't say it. We think it.
You were just saving it for me, right? All right, well, those are my questions I had, and just a couple closing things I want to say, because I know we are in a bit of a time because I'm watching Haughtie's clock. We penciled it in, but I wanted to say really quick to everybody who's hanging out today, if you guys aren't following these 4 amazing content creators, you need to be. I'm in all of their streams all the time. They are funny, they're knowledgeable, they're welcoming, and you are going to fall in love. And they all stream at like different times, so there's not even a lot of overlap. Like I was very strategic with who I picked for this. You guys need to check them out from like the bottom of my heart. If you're not following them and you like World of Warcraft, you're missing out. You're literally missing out massive things. Go follow them. You will not regret it. Like bottom of my heart. Now it's your time, viewers. If you have any questions for any of us, type them in chat. If they're for a specific content creator, put their name first, and then we're going to start going through them. If we don't get through all of them today, that's okay. We'll work on another plan. Number 1 is for Corey. Corey, where do you see the Night Elf storyline going forward with Shadowlands and beyond that? Everyone seems to be obsessed with where does Sylvanas' story go and doesn't focus on where Tyranda's story goes.
Okay, so I love it, but I can't really talk about it because there's a lot that happens in the new novel and people haven't read it yet, so I can't really say. And there's like a lot of lore spoilers, but I am very excited to see what the future holds for Night Elves, because I think it's gonna be very different than what we know. Like I think it's gonna change the game for them. Sorry, I wish I could say more. I'm so sorry. It's in Shadows Rising. There's like a whole scene. It's incredible, and I can't say anymore.
Read Shadows Rising. It's so good.
And Shadows Rising is really good.
Next question. As streamers, how do you keep up with positive streams day in and day out? I'm going to start with this one. I think that the world can be a really shitty place. So when I start any stream I do, my goal is to put a smile on somebody's face. Whether it's me making a sex joke or a dick joke, or whether it's me falling off a cliff and not levitating myself and dying. Like, like it doesn't matter. If I can make one person smile a day, I feel like I have a successful stream, and I know what it's like to feel alone. So if I can bring in a lighter energy and a good vibe for people, that's what I want to do for people, and that's a huge reason why I started streaming. That and for LGBTQIA+ representation in the World of Warcraft streaming industry. Okay, Will.
Well, I was agreeing. That's my agree face, I guess.
I was just like your turn to answer that question.
Oh, what was the question? It was so like.
How do you keep up the positive streams day in and day out?
I'm very transparent, like super transparent. I literally was like streaming Monday, WoW, and I was doing transmog runs, and I was like I was having like a day, and like so I was just going over my mental state. So for me, like even if I'm having like a negative day, people can bring me out of that, and then I in turn help other people in that aspect. So it's always like important to talk. So even if someone's having a bad day or whatever, I want them to talk about it in my stream if they're comfortable, because I literally will say like, this is what's on my mind this day, and da-da-da-da-da. So for me, to encourage positivity is to sometimes you have to shed light on the darkness that's in yourself, and so talking about it is only going to help most of the time. Obviously, I recommend a professional therapist, because that is not me, but if it's a deeper issue. But I feel like talking just about yourself, and if you're going through something, like that's what we do. That's why I do what I do, because it's so important to have transparency, especially like I'm not a streamer that puts on an act, and like I'm not even gonna pretend like all the time 24/7 I'm positive Peter and you know whatever. So if you can see that like your streamer, or as a streamer, if you can show your audience like the real authentic you, and even if it's not the best, like hopefully you get out of that area or that whatever you're in, and then you all can bring each other up together. And that's how, like, I guess I'd say I encourage positivity. I don't know if it makes sense to me, but yeah.
Corey.
Yeah, I think it's actually exactly what Will was saying. I think it's important that not everything is positive. I mean, it's true. Like sometimes we'll have political discussions where I'm a very left-leaning person, where I will just rant about something that a certain person said for like 30 minutes, and sometimes it's not positive. And like, dude, it is what it is, you know. You're not getting. I think it's important for streams that you're not getting just one facet of something. You're getting all of it, and you might hate it, you might love it, like, but it's the way it is.
Fair. Persephone.
So, like, personally, if I'm having a bad day, I may skip a stream, because I always want people to come into my streams and enjoy the time that they're spending there, either because I'm making them feel comfortable or bringing an uplifting personality to them. And not to say that like I don't want them to see me on my bad days, but like we all have bad days, especially with what's going on politically and like globally with the pandemic, where people have days where they just don't know how to feel. And if I'm showing my side of depression, I don't want other people to be like, well, she can't handle it, I can't either, and make bad decisions based on that. So I always want to make sure that my stream is somewhere people come and can feel uplifted. And so I'll just skip a stream sometimes if I'm having a bad day. But also I want people to be able to come in and talk to me about what's going on with their life. So I never shut people down. Or at least I try not to. I let people be who they want to be in my stream, and that's just what I try to do, as well as like, yeah, like make sure that they leave with a smile on their face, or at least knowledge. I try to at least make sure that they're learning something. If they're not even enjoying it, at least they'll leave with knowing something that they didn't know before they got there.
Awesome. Haughty.
Look, my stream, I don't actually think of it as a positive space. It's very much a chill space, and that's because we're like that in real life. We have a very chill home. We have a very chill kind of energy around us, my hubby and I, and so we just really bring ourselves, and I bring that chill person that I am into my stream. And I consider the success of our community is because of that. People will come in, and yes, they're going to bring in, especially with what's going on in the world and the new normal that we're all rapidly trying to change, along with, because it's so dynamic. People come into our space, and I get this real sense of they breathe, they exhale, and I will sometimes come into that space feeling a little bit anxious myself, but it's the community that I have around me there that then uplifts me, which is, I think, what Will might have said, or maybe Corey said that. I think it might have been Will. The community give me back. The community is now self-sustaining. It doesn't really need me, to be honest. They often talk amongst themselves. I answer a question, it wasn't even for me. But I will enter the community just as they do. I will log onto the stream. I might be turning the live button on, but I'm joining it just as they are. And so for me, it's the foundation is chill, but they're now giving me back as much as I give them, to be fair.
That's amazing. Celheals, I don't think we'll get any new allied races with Shadowlands because we are getting the customizations. I feel like Blizzard won't add them after because I feel like these are all beings of the afterlife, and I don't think they'll be able to travel outside of Shadowlands. I think there's going to be another race added at some point. Maybe not in Shadowlands, but if you go to the allied customization now...
Celheals. Sorry.
There is a space on the Alliance and the Horde side for one more allied race to be added in. So I don't know when, but I don't think adding this customization means you're not going to get a new race at some point. I think they will, and that's just the way that Blizzard is. I just don't know when they'll happen.
I know they said that allied races were a distinctly BFA feature, so we got them in Legion leading up to BFA, and we've gotten them throughout BFA. So I don't actually know if we're going to get more because they've made it pretty clear that they weren't planning on it, but I guess we'll see.
Fair. At all of you, why did you choose your particular Twitch name? I chose Celheals. My priest name is Selena, and everyone's called me Cel since I've been on WoW. So I'm Cel, and I'm a healer. Corey.
Oh man, my name is Corey Misseledine, and it rhymes with online.
Perfect. Will.
Mine's like a fruition of like who I actually am. I'm also a personal trainer, and so in life, like I have a lot of willpower to do what I want to get into fruition, whether it be like this job or that thing in my life or whatever. Like I just have an immense, like if I want to do something, I'm gonna do it, and so it's just a personification of basically who I am.
Nice. Persephone.
Well, not a couple years ago, like 7 years ago now, I broke up with an ex-boyfriend and like switched off the server and decided to like totally rename myself. So I went from being Bronwyn to being Persephone, which I picked because I had an alt hunter at the time that was named Persephone, and she had the Humar the Pride Lord pet, the black lion, who was Hades, and I thought it was really funny, and I never thought it would actually like stick, so but it did, and so I've just been Persephone since then, and I'll just be because I dumped a guy. Oopsie.
HaughtyChicken.
A couple of years ago, I wanted to make a Twitter account to make political statements that was quite anonymous from my real persona, my real life, and I couldn't think of a name. And I was looking for images to inspire me, and I found this drawing of a chicken with a suit on and a monocle, and I looked at it immediately. I thought, well, there's a haughty-looking chicken. And I thought, oh, that works. So I created this Twitter account 2 years ago called HaughtyChicken, and of course, my big claim to fame is that Stephen Fry followed me for like a minute, and then I thought, well, that's useless. I'm not going to make any comment on this Twitter account, so I think I deactivated it or something. And then I decided to go into streaming, 3 months ago, and I thought, what can I be? Who can I be? And I thought, hang on, I can be HaughtyChicken. So HaughtyChicken was brought back to life, and here we are.
That's amazing. What's everyone's favorite classes, and are there any classes you might be swapping to for Shadowlands? I am a holy priest. Like, that is my jam. I will always start on my holy priest. If for some reason holy priest goes back to where they can't heal their way out of a paper bag, I might be forced to changing a main.
Sorry, something in my throat.
Right? But I will try very hard to keep Holy Priest. I've switched mains before. I was a Paladin and a Resto Druid at different times through WoD, actually. And I went back to my Priest every time. I love the way Holy Priest feels. And I don't know if I just vibe with it, but I love Holy Priest. It's like the character that I switched when I first started playing World of Warcraft. And I can't turn my back on her. She's beautiful. HaughtyChicken.
Warlock? Unless they bring in a necromancer, I'll always be a warlock. Always.
Fair. Persephone.
So I'm with Sal, the Holy Priest thing, but if I were to play an alt, like I have alts that I favor, mine would be my BM Hunter, mainly because I got really invested into my original BM Hunter, which is where I got my name. And then I really love tanking, but I don't want to be a main tank. So any of my tank classes, I really like my DK and my Warrior. So those two are both tanks that I really enjoy playing. I'm hoping to get back into them in Shadowlands. I missed a lot of BFA due to our move back from Germany. I didn't have a computer for 5 months, so I fell behind, and then trying to catch up on more than one character just wasn't worth my time. So they kind of got abandoned this expansion. So hopefully I can give them some more love in Shadowlands.
Corey.
So I'm a tank main. As much as I want to play a hunter in Shadowlands, I'm always going to play my Paladin first. He's been my boy for a very long time. So yeah, Paladin main. But blood DKs are looking really strong, so I'm gonna play one of those, and a Vengeance Demon Hunter, and a Prot Warrior, and all of that. So, gotta do it.
Will.
I'm like a rogue individual in any game, any step. I'm very calculated. So rogue is super for me because I love having the not necessarily the advantage, but I like making the first move, and I want the move to be mine. So rogue is for me, but I only rogue PvP because I can't stand melee rotations in PvE. It's so boring to me. So I only I will do rogue for PvP. Then I have going to Shadowlands as far as someone that's not my rogue is difficult. I think I want to do my shaman, and I'm pretty sure I'm 100% on that. But like I said, every 2 to 3 expansions, my brain just changes. So in Vanilla to Wrath, I was a priest. In Kata to WoD, I was a paladin. In End of WoD to now, I've been a Mistweaver monk. So my brain just needs change. So I think I'm on a troll shaman thing. But for me, I always have a problem in any game that I can never really identify with one class or one character to completely. When I play Dead by Daylight, I play all the survivors because none of them really I can't really relate to. So for me, classes are so interesting and dynamic in their own sort. So I see myself being a shaman, I guess, long story short, and I will always be a rogue at heart because I like being that sneaky bitch. So.
I have one question. Are you all willing to dress up as your characters for a community stream, or at least wizard hats? I mean, I'm willing to do anything for $1.
I mean, let's be honest. My character is the Lack Queen, and I already have that costume.
Ooh. Corey?
Oh yeah, I'll do anything for $1. Anything.
Will?
What character? Wait, what? Our WoW characters?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I would do. Money is not a very persuasive thing to me. Okay, so I don't know. I think I would if I liked a tier set. There's a couple rogue tier sets I wouldn't mind doing. Sure, but I could do it for free.
I've always wanted to cosplay, but it's really expensive to get into it, and I can't afford that.
Fair.
We thought about getting a 3D printer, and every time I look at them, I'm like, nope, nope, we don't need a 3D printer that bad.
Haughty.
I'm already thinking, how can I market Felhart helm on my headset? I'm like, okay.
I'm here for it. What characters do you guys want to star in the Warbringer, cinematics for Shadowlands that are definitely 100% coming soon? Corey, you do that one first.
It's a Tomas question, so I don't really want to. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah, no. So I want to see Anduin. Okay, so I don't want to. Again, this is a slight spoiler thing, but there are 3 people that are referred to as something, or a few people that are referred to as something in the beginning of Shadowlands, the intro experience. And I want to see I want to see the Peacebringers, not the Warbringers, but I want to see Anduin, Bane, and like Thrall, or even Bolvar. Like any combination of those. This sounds good to me.
Haughty.
What was the question? I'm confused by this question.
What characters do you guys want to star in the Warbringer like cinematics for Shadowlands that are definitely 100% coming soon?
Okay, I've become a bit of a Bane fangirl, I have to say, since we've been doing lore. Didn't think I would. I like that. I like him a lot. So I'm with Corey on Anduin and Bane. Other than that, I have no thoughts on it, to be fair.
Okay, Will?
Yep.
Give me Kel'Thuzad. I want Kel'Thuzad. I want more
Kel'Thuzad.
That's my answer, Kel'Thuzad. Final answer.
Persephone.
Kalia Menethil.
Ooh.
I think I want to know a lot more about her story in general, like what's been going on with her, everything. Like I want like a standalone Kalia book.
Whoa.
Like that's what I want.
Oh.
Nice.
See, my husband really loves Arthas. Like his thing is like he's a Frost Death Knight. He won't play Unholy because he's Frost. That's what he is. Loves the Lich King. Loves everything about Wrath's story, and I want to know what the rest of the story, because it's not all there, obviously, of the whole family. I want the family story.
Fair. I want to see Illyria. I love Illyria. As long as she's there, I'm in.
What's interesting, sorry to like briefly, what's interesting is I feel like a lot of people, and I recommend the Three Sisters comics if you haven't, and War Crimes, it gets into like Sylvanas and Varisa, who I want to see more Varisa anyways, because she's just chilling in Dalaran for all I know right now. I know Corey's got the hookup, but sorry, just to briefly touch, I really like that, like, Sylvanas, Illyria, and Varisa, they're all, like, a thing now. Illyria is no longer missing, and Varisa's chilling. She's still dealing with the death of Ronan in some form, I'm sure. And then you have Sylvanas, who's now doing her own thing. So, like, I really want some more sister stuff in like, all that has happened through the comic and the War Crimes, especially, if you've read it. Like, the interaction between the sisters is so cool, because even throughout all of their journeys and stuff, from Quel'Thalas to the Dark Portal, everything, they're still all alive, and they're all very different. So, sorry, I think people seldom don't realize that, like, they're three sisters. They all share blood. It's crazy.
Fair. A question to all. What do you wish WoW would bring to the game to make the game better? Example, bigger bags, easier ways to make gold, etc. Haughty, why don't you start that one off?
Okay. Yeah, bigger bags would be good. You can see I'm getting tired now. Look, I don't really, other than necromancers, please, and bring back the old Naxxramas, and I keep saying that every stream. Look, the crafting system has been a little bit kludgy for me of late, but I think it's improving. I don't really have anything at the moment. I'm a bit of a happy girl in game, so I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's a curveball for me.
Okay. Will?
I'd like to see. Can we go to someone else? I lost it. Please, someone else first. I lost it.
I'll take over. I would like to see, and it's not so much a game thing, I guess, but I would like to see them somehow either reduce pricing or make it that if you do it so often, you get a discount on race changes. Because I 100% change my character all the time, and it's really expensive to do it that much, so it would be nice to see if there was, aside from gold and putting on your BattleNet, I would like to see a way, like, I've spent probably well over $1,000 race changing my character over the years, like a lot of money. I know you guys are right, like I literally almost every month I think I change. Between going Alliance and Horde and moving my characters on my all different servers, it's super expensive, and I know that wasn't a thing on Classic, but I would like to see something be done there, like, oh, so you spent this amount of money, maybe we'll cut you a deal, because they do deals like once a year to get like race changes half off or stuff. But it would be nice to see more of those sales happen, especially because the Blizzard store always has like deals for free shipping if you're in the United States of America. Bitch, I'm Canadian. I need no free shipping to me, Annie. Like, let me get something out of this. Will, back to you.
This is gonna sound but like, as someone who does transmog And like I understand Persephone might disagree to this on some level, but like I'd like a smarter looting system for as someone that does transmog, and I know that they want you to like be invested. It's a whole process trying to get this transmog, but like when I'm running Tomb of Sargeras and I'm on my monk, I don't want shaman pieces. Like, oh yay, 35 gold. Like I'd like it to be I don't know what they could do, but like it's so frustrating, obviously, and like I don't want to be farming a shoulder piece or whatever for 3 years. Like that's super extreme, but like I'd like to see something. I don't know. I don't know if they would ever do it, but for me, that's my biggest inconvenience as someone that literally is like for me, the character, I'm so inspired by character aesthetics. And so like what gets me to play character is like these different concepts that come up with gear and stuff. And if I like get super discouraged, I'm like, well, I don't really know if I want to play this game. That's just my brain, but it's discouraging sometimes when I get like monk only or shaman only or this piece or whatever. I would just like to, maybe they go through some interesting algorithm. I don't know if this even sounds plausible, but for me, it's inconvenience, and sometimes it's more frustrating than fun going back every week to a raid to do something.
No, I agree with you as far as raid loot. Like things that drop off bosses should have some sort of smart system. Especially like you ever go back to Molten Core for a specific piece of gear. That shit drops like, it was a 40-man raid. It's dropping like 2 pieces of, no. There's like 90 things on that loot table. It's stupid. But as like, I'm just, since I interjected, I'm gonna answer mine.
You're fine. Perfect.
I would like the character cap to be removed because 50 is, they're like, there's not enough people with 50. It's like, I don't believe you. Like a lot of people have 50. Character cap to be removed. And now I don't remember what the other thing is. There was another thing. I don't remember.
Corey.
Oh, but as far as the, I was to say, as far as the that's what it was. As far as the like character customization things, I wish there was a way to mass transfer like all your characters from one server to another at a discount. So say like I have 12, I have one of everything at max level.
Deal.
I want to be able to take the 12 characters and transfer them to a different server without having to pay 12 transfers. Because instead of doing 12, I do 1 and re-level them all. So they're losing money on me. If
Fair.
They were to give me a discount, say half price to move 12, like I would do that.
Fair. Corey.
So I got a couple. So the faction thing that I mentioned earlier, more race class combinations because I really want my Night Elf Paladins. We saw them in Legion and I want them. So therefore give them to me. And also Tinkerers. I just want a Tinkerer class. Like I was actually kind of shocked when Shadowlands was announced and nothing was announced about having like a Tinker. Like we've seen it. Like if you do an island expedition or anything, you can see like there are Tinkers running around, like you fight them, you know? I don't know why. I'm surprised it's not there.
Fair. That actually leads us to the next question from BD. For all, I know we aren't getting a new class expansion, but what class would you like to see get added to WoW?
Tinkers.
I would love to see a bard. I'd like to see a class come in that maybe can buff, like, it would be hard to do, but in a raid setting, it would be nice to see a class that can buff other characters, but still also have some like crazy utility. And I think that they could maybe play around with that. I don't know how it would work for solo content or in a 5-man, but I would love to see another, like a bard, or whatever they come out with, it needs to be arranged. It needs to be a ranged DPS. If you're gonna make raids and say, oh, you only want to bring 4 melee, then stop making melee DPS on all your new classes that come out. You need to put ranged in there. Like, easy, period. Pull your head out of your asshole. Next. Persephone.
On that one. About that, I was actually also going to say bard, but then the same thing is like, I once wrote them all down and counted the amount of ranged versus the amount of melee and then compared how many classes could do both. There is significantly more freaking melee. It's stupid because like obviously hunters, two of their 3 classes or 2 of their 3 specs are ranged. Mages, they're all ranged. Warlocks, they're all ranged. That's 3. That's not 8. That's not 8. That's 3. And then they have like 1 spec of monk, 1 spec of this. Everything is 1 spec. Like, come on, Blizzard. Give us some more range that have some diversity, because that's what it's missing. Like, we have a lot of range specs, but not any class diversity in them.
Fair. Haughty.
Yeah.
I agree with the bard. I played a bard for a very long time in another game. Absolutely loved playing a bard. Necromancer, just because I really, really want one. But I'll go back to the bard. And equally, I was disappointed. I thought with the mechanomes, the Tinker was definitely going to come along. When I didn't see them, I lost all interest in the mechanomes. So yeah, I agree on that. But give us a bard. Give us a bard.
And Will.
I don't have a class suggestion, but I want ethereals as a race, so that's my answer. Sorry.
Oh, babe, that's fair.
I want ethereals. Ever since BC, it's like consortium now. Like everyone, who doesn't want to play an ethereal? Come on. So sorry.
Imagine pulling out the Soul Trader pet and having the ethereal follow your ethereal. It's a baby. You get followed by your baby. The baby.
All right, you guys, with that, that's probably going to end our roundtable discussion. It was a ton of fun. Thank you very much, Corey, Persephone, Will, and Haughty. It has been great. This is a fantastic round. My first one, and you guys made this so easy and smooth like butter. I greatly appreciate it.
See that Angel get excited.
It was so good. Oh, sorry, my bad. For all the viewers, thank you so much for hanging out today. Again, if you're not following these amazing people, go and do so. They stream at different times. Broaden your world. Oh, my dog is going crazy. Broaden your World of Warcraft people to check out. And like, these are 4 amazing people. 10 of 10, and there's a dog, but 10 of 10 recommend. Go look them out. And I will see you amazing people tomorrow. Again, Corey, Persephone, Haughty, Will, thank you guys so much. But that's it. We're closing off. Do you guys have any final comments you want to have before we disconnect?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, go for it.
Can I agree? I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for organizing this. You've done so well, your very first podcast. So I'm going to say kudos to you and thank you for you bringing us here.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like what she said, thank you. Like I knew who MissiledineOnline was, obviously Haughty and you. We've like been in each other's streams before, but like I got to meet Will. Turns out we're like the exact same person, so it's great. Like we have so much in common, and now he's like one of my new best friends. I don't know if he knows this yet, but you
No,
are.
I don't. This
Yeah,
is like literally news
Yeah,
to
we're
me.
best friends now. Like
Oh.
we're the same person.
Okay.
Like
Like I said, I mean, I don't have any friends, you know. So like, thank you for potentially giving me some new friends if they ever want to talk to me ever again.
But we're friends.
Yeah, like for me, like a large part about why I go through like periods of unrest in my brain is mostly because I feel like I don't belong to something like a community. I always try to like insert myself into for me, I have a hard time struggling with myself as who I am. So when I, like I don't have to try to fit into like a WoW community. Like there's so many people, like I feel like I vibe off Corey's like lore nerds because like that's all who I am, and then Haughty and Persephone are just very nice people in general and chill, and so it's just nice because like there's more communities than I realize, and like so when you bring all of us together and everyone in chat too, I'm like, oh my god, all these people are here for these cool individuals as well, and it's like just a really nice thing to know that like, oh my god, I'm a part of some community that I didn't even know I was a part of, so that's really nice, so I appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. With that, we are going to end the round table. I am going to bring us to a Sega Next Gen streamer. She is also a gold making streamer. Plays World of Warcraft. We adore her to pieces. We're going to go see Seathrift. Yeah, we love Seathrift. If you guys haven't,
person.
Literally, if you guys also haven't followed Seathrift, you need to. I adore her.
She's amazing.
She's so
amazing.
good. So good. And hopefully we'll see all of you guys again soon, like real soon. All of us, we all want to see you every day. Be like, hey everybody, we're here. Let's go and have a great time. Have a fantastic day. Be safe, be smart, wash your hands, and don't forget to wash your damn assholes. Bye for now, everybody.
Thank you for the reminder. I gotta go.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Thank you, my friend.